Promises made. Your host, Mike Shriver with Mike Shriver Ministries here again after doing a restart. So, yeah, I had to do a cold start on my software, and we're back again to bring you the latest from the war in Iran. Feels good to keep winning with Donald Trump. Above all, Jesus Christ. This really isn't about Trump. It's all about God's will being done in this land. And God's will be done on earth, and individuals through groups. That's he knows the fight. He knows he's going to be in the. This has been prophesied. This is nothing new to him. If you've been studying Bible prophecy for the last 30 years, when I look at my father's notes from 1940 to 1943, because I have some of them when he went to Apostolic Bible Institute. Yeah, we are back, everybody. Donna and Angela, child of God. I had to do a cold start on all my hardware, and this should fix it the other day. So I think every morning when I get up before I go live, especially every morning. In fact, I'll be setting up that prayer. We're going to go live and do prayer for soldiers and individual prayer starting Saturday morning at 7 a.m. right here, Mike Shriver Ministries. And Donna, welcome in. Good to see you. Yeah, I think it's smart of me to reconnect my hardware and then reconnect it. Take that 6-7 minutes, let it reboot itself for a fresh, clean start. Ever since the war started, this has been happening. That's hardly ever happened to me. Maybe 2-3 times a month, but I'm live like over 50 times a month. So sometimes it happens. Anyway, enough about me rambling on. Let's get back to what's important. And we're going to start that press briefing over because we need to hear this. It's important. He'll be right out here in a second. I fast forwarded it so you guys don't have to wait for him. There we go. There we go. Again, apologies for having to break out earlier. Crazy soldiers in the house. Good to see you, buddy.
Well, to our fellow Americans, brave warriors, and steadfast allies, good morning. As someone who led soldiers in the streets of and who trained counterinsurgents in Kabul, Afghanistan, and who still carries the weight of brothers lost to Iranian terrorist proxies, many backed by the same Iranian regime we're confronting now. This fight, Operation Epic Fury, it hits home. Well, to our fellow Americans, brave warriors, and steadfast allies, good morning. As someone who led soldiers in the streets of Baghdad and Samarra, Iraq, and who trained counterinsurgents in Kabul, Afghanistan, and who still carries the weight of brothers lost to Iranian terrorist proxies, many backed by the same Iranian regime we're confronting now. This fight, Operation Epic Fury, it hits home. Our generation understands this fight. For 47 years, these barbaric savages in the Iranian regime have murdered our brothers in arms, my guys, your guys, our guys. Through their terrorist proxies and cowardly attacks, now they race toward a nuclear bomb to hold the world hostage. The Iranians have targeted and killed thousands. Of my American brothers. That race to a nuclear bomb, President Trump will never allow it. Not now, Not ever. Not on our watch. The mullahs are desperate and scrambling. Like the terrorist cowards they are, they fire missiles from schools and hospitals, deliberately targeting innocents, because they know their military is being systematically degraded and annihilated. Iran's neighbors, and in some cases, former allies in the Gulf, they've abandoned them. And their proxies, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and Hamas, either broken, ineffective, or on the sidelines. Iran stands alone, and they are badly losing. On day 10 of Operation Epic Fury, we are winning with an overwhelming and unrelenting focus on our objectives, which are the same as the day I gave my first briefing here on Operation Epic Fury. They're straightforward, and we are executing them with ruthless precision. One, destroy their missile stockpiles, their missile launchers, and their defense industrial base. Missiles and their ability to make them. Two, destroy their navy. And three, permanently deny Iran nuclear weapons forever. It's a laser-focused, maximum authority mission delivered with overwhelming and unrelenting precision. No hesitation, no half measures. As President Trump declared yesterday, we're crushing the enemy in an overwhelming display of technical skill and military force. We will not relent until the enemy is totally and decisively defeated. But we do so on our timeline and at our choosing. For example, today will be yet again our most intense day of strikes inside Iran. The most fighters, the most bombers, the most strikes. Intelligence more refined and better than ever. So that's on one hand. On the other hand, the last 24 hours have seen Iran fire the lowest number of missiles they've been capable of firing yet. Just the bifurcation, just the trend lines that we talked about on our first briefing. You see, this is not 2003. This is not endless nation building under those types of quagmires we saw under Bush or Obama. It's not even close. Our generation of soldier will not let that happen again, and nor will this president, who very clearly ran against those kinds of never-ending, nebulously scoped missions. Those days are dead. Instead, we're winning decisively with brutal efficiency, total air dominance, and an unbreakable will to accomplish the president's objectives on our timeline. We stay locked on the target because here at the Department of War, that's our job. Now, the chairman and I, having just returned from Dover last night, our troops and their families and the enormous sacrifice that they make is certainly heavy on my mind. So I'll close with scripture, drawing strength from Psalm 144. Blessed be the Lord, my rock, who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle. He is my loving God and my fortress, my stronghold and my deliverer, my shield, in whom I take refuge. May the Lord grant unyielding strength and refuge to our warriors, unbreakable protection to them in our homeland, and total victory over those who seek to harm them. And amen. God bless our troops and this mission. Mr. Chairman, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. I'm here today to continue the updates to the American people and to those in the room on Operation Epic Fury. First, let me start with honoring our fallen. As the Secretary said, on Saturday and again last night at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware, our nation's leaders honored our returning fallen as they arrived home for their final time. Last week I shared a few of the names, and today I want to share the rest. Major Jeffrey O'Brien and Chief Warrant Officer 3 Robert Marzan were the final two fallen to return home, and members of the U.S. Army Reserve's 103rd Sustainment Command out of Des Moines, Iowa. Last night, as the news has been reporting, we honored the return of Staff Sergeant Benjamin Pennington of the U.S. Army's 1st Space Brigade from Fort Carson, Colorado. When I met Ben's family last night, his mom, his dad, and his sister, they showed me a picture, a drawing that Ben had made when he was in kindergarten. It was clear all the way back then that Ben wanted to do one thing in his life, and he wanted to serve his country and be a soldier. And to the Penningtons, just know how Ben was absolutely a great one. And finally, Major Sorfleet Davies, who returned home this weekend after sadly passing away from a medical condition while on duty in Kuwait. We welcome him home as well and mourn with his family. To the families and the families of all of our fallen, we share in your profound grief. The Joint Force remains eternally grateful for your sacrifice and the gift of a great example that your service members have given all of us. I want you to know that their names will never be forgotten, and you and your family are part of our Joint Force family forever. Let me talk a little bit about the progress thus far, acknowledging that Admiral Cooper will likely continue to give updates from CENTCOM. As the Secretary said, we're in the 10th, moving into the 11th day of Operation Epic Fury. The Joint Force remains focused on 3 military objectives: continue to destroy Iranian ballistic missiles and drone capability in order to prevent attacks on the U.S. and others throughout the region. And this means attacking launch sites, command and control nodes, stockpiles before they can threaten our personnel, our facilities, and our partners. Second, we continue to strike the Iranian Navy and their capabilities in order to do things like sustain movement through the Straits of Hormuz. And third, we continue to start working on and going deeper into Iran's military and industrial base in order to prevent the regime from being able to attack Americans, our interests, and our partners for years to come and project power outside their borders. This means servicing production facilities, research and development sites, and infrastructure.
And this is a test of the Mike Shriver Ministries sound system. If this was an actual spiritual emergency, which it is, since the Lord's coming back soon, I would direct you to John chapter 3 and specifically Acts 2:38. Get right before you get left, right here on Mike Shriver Ministries. Does it work now? I just made that up. Just love it. Okay, I have fun with this.
Structure. Let me turn a little bit about the progress thus far, acknowledging that Admiral Cooper will likely continue to give updates from CENTCOM. As the Secretary said, we're in the 10th, moving into the 11th day of Operation Epic Fury. The Joint Force remains focused on 3 military objectives: continue to destroy Iranian ballistic missiles and drone capability in order to prevent attacks on the U.S. and others throughout the region. And this means attacking launch sites, command and control nodes, stockpiles before they can threaten our personnel, our facilities, and our partners. Second, we continue to strike the Iranian Navy and their capabilities in order to do things like sustain movement through the Straits of Hormuz. And third, we continue to start working on and going deeper into Iran's military and industrial base in order to prevent the regime from being able to attack Americans, our interests, and our partners for years to come and project power outside their borders. This means servicing production facilities, research and development sites, and infrastructure. Let me turn to the map. We're going to try digital today to prevent laser injury. Since our last update, CENTCOM continues to make progress across the southern flank. To date, they've struck more than 5,000 targets. U.S. Strategic Command bombers recently dropped dozens of 2,000-pound GPS-penetrating weapons on deeply buried missile launchers across the southern flank. We also have struck several one-way drone factories to get at the heart of their autonomous capability. And of course, alongside our regional partners along the southern flank, continue to execute intercepts against one-way attack drones using fighters and attack helicopters. Our strikes mean we've made significant progress in reducing the number of missile and drone attacks out of Iran. Ballistic missile attacks continue to trend downward 90% from where they've started, and one-way attack drones have decreased 83% since the beginning of the operation. A testament to our air defenders and our air defense systems, and as I said, our partners in the region continue to do great work as well. Second, we're making substantial progress towards destroying the Navy. In the first 10 days of the conflict, we're more than 50 Iranian naval ships into the campaign using a combination of artillery, fighters, bombers, and sea-launched missiles. As Admiral Cooper noted last Thursday, we struck and sank an Iranian drone carrier ship, and U.S. CENTCOM continues today to hunt and strike mine-laying vessels and mine storage facilities. This work will continue. Third, against our objectives, we've begun to target Iran's military and industrial complex, again, focusing on centers of gravity to get upstream of the shooters out in the field in order to deny them the ability to continue to generate those one-way attack drones. Let me spend a minute talking about the joint force. Across the area of responsibility, this is gritty and tireless work, and I cannot begin to explain how incredibly proud I am of the extraordinary courage, tenacity, and grit and professionalism within the joint force. Last time I had a chance to talk about the Army's incredible logisticians who are out there sustaining the fight. Today I want to highlight a few groups of sailors. First, I want to thank the men and women of the Ford Carrier Strike Group and their families, and let all of them know how grateful I am for their leadership and service. The crews on board this strike group have already been endured months at sea only to get their deployment extended. These exceptional Americans, rogered up, all supported by their families, continue to stand the watch, taking the fight to the enemy over and over again, night after night. Aboard ships like the USS Ford and the Abraham Lincoln are a special group of sailors I want to highlight today. These are the men and women, the sailors up on the roof running operations on the flight deck. With an average age of the early 20s, these are the unsung heroes of naval aviation. These young sailors, known for wearing yellow shirts, are in charge of the catapults, taxiing jets around on the flight deck, shooting jets off the front end, and recovering jets off the back end. They are literally involved with every single movement on the roof on an aircraft carrier. They are the last ones that a naval aviator sees before getting shot off the front end, and the first one that a naval aviator sees after safely trapping on the back end. And just for a minute, imagine you're standing on that aircraft carrier flight deck. There's 30 knots of wind in your face. The deck is slippery, covered in grease. It's noisy. There are propellers spinning. There's jet blast everywhere. The helicopters are running. Your head is on a swivel, and you're trying to direct a multi-million-dollar fighter into a 1-foot square box so that those naval aviators can be shot off into the black of night to go do America's work. Those jets are fully loaded with missiles and bombs, and they are a world-class team combined with the naval aviation and the aviators in those jets. This beautiful symphony of American spirit is the definition of perfectly organized chaos. And these crews do it every single time the carrier is at work. Oh, by the way, in the middle of the night, and oftentimes in the pouring rain. These are dedicated young people who take the road less traveled to serve their great nation, doing the deeds that we need them to do. America's enlisted force is the pride of every nation's military, certainly ours, and the envy of every other one as well. Each and every one of them out there across the joint force are extraordinary, and in particular today I want to highlight the yellow shirts. Ladies and gentlemen, our work continues. It'll continue to be difficult. I ask every American to keep our deployed force and their families in our thoughts. Combat deployments can be tough on the force and the families, and it's important that we continue to remember that. I remain deeply humbled by the 2.8 million members of the Joint Force, and I'll end where I started, and that's remembering our fallen and their families whose sacrifice will be felt forever. And with that, I'll take some questions with the Secretary.
A beautiful symphony of American spirit. Well said, Mr.
Still got
Chairman.
about 15 minutes
And I will just note that no other country in the world is capable of executing
especially
what the
when
chairman
liberals
just
ask
described.
Day after day,
night after night, unrelenting.
Gotta love liberals.
Well said. Thank
Their
you.
lapdogs in the media.
Alexandra Ingersoll, One America News. You talked, Mr. Secretary, you talked at the conference in Florida on Thursday that there was a 90% missile capabilities degradation and 83% drone degradation, and I know the chairman just repeated those numbers.
TDS is
We've
all
seen the
over
most
out
amount
there.
of fighting these past 5 days. Is there any update to those percentages? And also, are you able to give any quantification of degradation to the enemy's nuclear capabilities yet?
What those numbers represent is a persistent low ability to respond, which is what we're looking for, right? It's if the enemy can simply wait and then project power, that's problematic. And we've seen some spurts here or there, but ultimately the trend lines, if you look at the charts that we look at every day, have gone like this down to a flat. That doesn't mean they won't be able to project. It doesn't mean our air defenders still don't have to defend. They do, but that is strong evidence of degradation, along with the battle damage assessment that the Joint Staff does, which takes time. You've got to look at imagery and recognize whether something's been simply degraded or it's been destroyed.
And I respect that, but I don't think they're more formidable than what we thought.
Wait a minute, what was that?
Secretary, thank you.
Anybody notice a skip? Like it was edited and came back in? Watch this.
No plan survives first contact with the enemy or Murphy. They're adapting, as are we. Of course, we have very entrepreneurial warfighters out there. I'd rather not, for operational security reasons, tell them what's working.
Okay, I need to adjust
so I'm going to not answer that question based on that. But we are watching what they're doing, and we are adapting faster than they are.
Are they more formidable than you anticipated, General?
I mean, I think they're fighting, and I respect that, but I don't think they're more formidable than what we thought.
Secretary, thank you. Jordan Conrad's from the Gateway Pundit. Axios reported, citing U.S. and Israeli sources, that the U.S. was not happy with strikes on 30 fuel depots in Iran. While this is anonymous sourcing, it seems kind of congruent with what President Trump said yesterday, that there's certain spots they don't want to hit relating to energy infrastructure that would take a long time to rebuild. Whether this reporting is true or not, what's your message to Americans, those who supported the president and those who aren't really in favor of this war and who worry that Israel might be taking advantage of the U.S.'s backing? And then for Mr. Chairman, for you, when you say that we're moving inland, what capabilities does Iran have to shoot down jets over their land? And would that trigger some kind of rescue operation that could risk a bigger ground operation?
Well, I would just state by saying Israel's been a really strong partner in this effort. Where they have different objectives, they've pursued them. Ultimately, we've stayed focused on ours. But when Iran has felt is the power of the world's two most powerful air forces. In that particular case, that wasn't.
I'm tired of hearing about
our strikes
that. There's
or that
6 million
objective.
files released. Get over it.
Or that wasn't our.
They will be in trouble with God if we don't
but
bust
the president
them.
has made it clear to those concerns
if not, God
that we're not getting pulled in any direction. We're
dead and
leading.
gone.
president is leading. He's determining where we want to go, what the outcome will be, what the end state is, with a very keen eye. And I understand those concerns because I've heard from a lot of people who I went through 20 years of those wars myself, worried about getting dragged in, worried about mission creep, worried about nation building or democracy expansion. That's never the perspective the president has pursued on this. Just because previous presidents and previous secretaries have decided to just pour more resources and more people in toward some unguided end state doesn't mean that's the way the world needs to look today. In fact, the American people voted for a different approach. But what the president also stated from the beginning was Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. And it's one thing to say it. It's easy to say. Anybody can say that. I mean, Barack Obama said that. But to do something about it takes courage and resolve. But in that courage and in that resolve, you can also be very scoped in what you're trying to execute to ensure that the sacrifice of Americans, American treasure, American lives, all of those properly meet the objective that you're trying to accomplish. And certainly, as someone I talked out front about what the Iranians have done to our generation, yes, we're clear-eyed about it. But my job is to keep it scoped, given the directive to the president to accomplish the mission.
Sir.
Thank you for the question. Most of their higher-end surface-to-air missile systems are not factors at this point in time. We're able to move around fighters that are moving deeper with relative impunity. Always some risk out there. I don't want to say that there isn't, and we'll always maintain and retain capability of doing search and rescue type of things. But I don't want to get into the details. But thank you for the question.
Shelley.
Thanks, Mr. Secretary. President Trump told our team on the ground early this morning that the thing that has surprised him the most during the course of this operation so far has been the Iranian regime attacking countries that are not attacking them. I'm curious if that surprised you as well. And General, curious if you were open to the possibility of escorting vessels through the Strait of Hormuz, and if you could describe some of the challenges of doing so.
Big mistake by the Iranian regime to start targeting its neighbors right away, exposing who they are and what they're all about. Indiscriminate targeting,
it shows the
flailing recklessly
of
at the beginning.
Ayatollah's
I can't
mindset.
say that we anticipated necessarily that's exactly how they would react, but we knew it was a possibility.
No,
and I think it was a demonstration of the desperation of that regime then and that regime now, that they still think their pathway out is to try to alienate their Arab partners even more,
Jaded
who've instead
American,
decided to come to us
just now.
and have been willing to go on the
Sorry.
offense, have been giving us access, basing, and overflight in a new partnership sessions with a radical regime like that. Again, properly scoping the objectives in the process. And then you want to talk about the Strait?
Sure. On the potential, if tasked to escort, we'll look at the range of options to set the military conditions to be able to do that. And then, like we always do with every potential mission, come to the Secretary and the President with both what are the resources required, what is the command and control required, and what are the risks, and how do we mitigate those risks. So we're looking at a range of options there, and we'll figure out how to solve problems as they come to us.
But I would reiterate also to add to what the chairman said, the truth the president posted last night about that, saying if Iran does anything to stop the flow of oil within the Strait of Hormuz, they will be hit by the United States of America 20 times harder than they have been hit thus far. He goes on to say, death, fire, and fury will rain upon them. You've seen the truth and read it. But he takes very seriously the condition of that straits. We have capabilities that no other nation on earth has, and we're certainly working with our energy partners across the administration to control for that. That's part of that scoping of this. The world needs to understand this doesn't have, this isn't intended to be, nor is it something that will expand. We know exactly what we're attempting to achieve here, scoped properly, and the American people can count on that for sure.
Mr. Secretary, will any anyone accountable for this
Thank you so
bombing in
much,
Iran?
Secretary Hegseth. President Trump has long said that he wants to minimize the loss of life in war, which wherever it occurs in whatever country, which so many people obviously appreciate. Can you detail the specific measures the Pentagon is taking to minimize civilian casualties and strikes inside Iran? And secondarily, is the Pentagon prioritizing replenishment of precision-guided munitions, long-ranged strike weapons, or air defense interceptors? And can you share any details on which systems are being prioritized?
Yeah, seeing it from the inside every single day, including this, no nation takes more precautions to ensure there's never targeting of civilians than the United States of America. From the boat strikes in the Caribbean, where every single strike is assessed to this campaign here, no nation in the history of warfare has ever attempted in every way possible to avoid civilian casualties. And frankly, that's a point that just isn't appreciated enough. Where things happen that need to be investigated, we will investigate. To the question shouted in the back, that it's not, open source is not the place to determine what did or did not happen. We take things very, very seriously and investigate them thoroughly, which takes time, and which is why it does take time. But ultimately, unlike Iran, who targets civilians indiscriminately, who we've seen in the intel moving rocket launchers into civilian neighborhoods, near schools, near hospitals, to try to prevent our ability to strike. That's how they operate. And then they set the targeting of drones and missiles toward civilian targets, hospitals, hotels, airports. CENTCOM's been very good about putting that information out. That's how terrorist regimes fight. They target civilians. We do not. And I can tell you this administration and this Pentagon focuses on that very, very closely.
Does it have Tomahawk missiles? Does that mean you will hold someone accountable if it turns out that that was the
This
US
morning,
munition that hit
the
the
Iranian government is saying a lot. They continue to say they're prepared for a long war. If that's the case, what could you tell the American people as far as the steps the Department of War is taking to make sure our troops have the protection and the resources they need as the mission continues?
I think there's one thing I can sleep quietly at night knowing is that we're giving every resource humanly possible to our troops on the front lines to ensure they're protected. In fact, as I said in that...
What kind of question was that? Did I mishear that? Because it sounds like the reporter, I'm pretty sure a lapdog of the left, and I'm not talking about U.S. citizens regular, I'm talking about politicians. I got friends that are Democrats. I got no problem with them. I got people at the church I go to once I get back there. I've got no problem with them. They might be libs, but they are also Americans, and we can get along even though we disagree. Sometimes we have to agree to disagree. But this question seems a little bit loaded. Let's go back just a second. And by the way, this briefing only has about 4 minutes left, not even.
What could you tell the American people as far as the steps the Department of War is taking to make sure our troops have the protection and the resources they need as the mission continues?
I think there's one thing I can sleep quietly at night knowing is that we're giving every resource humanly possible to our troops on the front lines to ensure they're protected. In fact, as I said in that first press briefing, even before we set the offense, we set the defense. We made sure we had the ability to defend. And then
I think we're getting more
as many Americans off the bases and into other places as possible. So as this progresses, the chairman or the question was asked to the chairman about how the enemy adapts. Well, of course, we adapt too in real time, and to watch our warriors iterate on air defense and interdiction, on drones and missiles, and how we get after it. It's incredible how they refine the tactics, bring in new assets to find different ways of getting at emerging technologies. So that is one of the things we're laser focused on every day. Yes, we're going on offense more effectively than any country in human history, but we're also ensuring that in every way possible we're defending the best Americans we have who wear our uniform, no doubt. Let's do one more.
Thanks, Secretary Hegseth. The president has indicated that maybe the operation will wrap up sooner than he thought it was going to. What's the plan once the U.S. stops military action? Will the U.S. play a role in the aftermath, or will they leave Iran to sort it out?
That's exactly right, Sharon.
Yeah,
he is
going to be in America's interest.
He's a great president, no doubt.
Our interests. We won't live
Alvarez.
under a nuclear blackmail scenario. of conventional missiles that can target our people, which is why the objectives have been scoped from the beginning. Missiles, missile production, a defense industrial base, Navy, all in service of ensuring they don't have nuclear power projection capabilities. That's what matters to President Trump. That's what matters to the American people. And ultimately, that's why we're so laser focused on ensuring those objectives and those objectives alone are met. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You know, it's funny. That cracks me up. How often, when the press all of a sudden explodes as either Trump or, you know, even when the auto pen, aka Sleepy Joe Biden, was in office, and he would do a briefing, and then he would slowly crawl off the platform. Now, Sleepy Joe would answer questions, like he would stop every so often and and keep going. And his handlers, like quite literally, his handlers are like, "Nah, come on, Joe, we've had enough. We got to go get some ice cream and sniff some little girl's hair." Oh, what a perv, man! You just remember he's sniffing girls' hair. What an absolute freak! If he did that to my daughter, oh my God, I got 4 daughters. Wow. All right, we're gonna go to the next video right here on my Shriver Ministries on YouTube. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I got one right here I got it warming up in the bullpen. I got like 7 others ready, but this one has to do with the new president, or whatever you want to call him. Oh, let's say the next target of the Ayatollah administration, because there is a missile for his house too, if it fails.
You're watching Fox and Friends First here on a Tuesday morning. I'm Todd Pyro.
And I'm Carly Shimkus. First, we go to Trey Yanks, who is live in Tel Aviv with the very latest on the war with Iran.
Exactly, Angela. That'll preach. He sure did. He only answered
Overnight,
certain
President
questions.
Trump returning from Florida, making new comments about the war in the Middle East. He spoke about the success of Operation Epic Fury so far. U.S.
morning,
Central
Sierra.
Command going after many targets overnight. The Israelis also
just more of the same problem for the country. So I was disappointed to see their choice.
Mark from the Philippines. Good to see you again. I got
President
a best
Trump
friend
very
in the
clear on his
Philippines,
views about
albeit
Mustafa
online, but
Khamenei.
still a great
You can see
friend
some
and a
destruction
subscriber
here
to this
in
channel,
Iran
although
as the
she hasn't
Israeli
been
and
here
American
forever.
strikes continue.
She got married.
These are extensive, not just around the capital of Tehran, but across the country. The Iranian Navy, Air Force, and ground force is being decimated by this campaign. Now, Iran's foreign minister also speaking out about the conflict and the new supreme leader saying this.
Well, first of all, it's too soon, for him to make any comment. We are all waiting for his speeches and comments, which would come later on. But I don't think the question of talking with Americans or negotiation with Americans once again.
I love his accent, though. It's kind of cool.
Because,
like,
we have a very bitter experience of talking with Americans.
And thank God the Iranian women can go to college now.
From the Iranians, the Israelis
Can I get an amen from the women in the chat? Women can do something with their lives now. They don't have to wear stupid head dresses.
Of the Iran-backed militant group Hezbollah launching new rockets and mortars over the border overnight. And the Israelis say they will continue to hold ground positions in southern Lebanon in preparation for the possibility of further attacks. Guys?
Israel, no stranger to a two-front war. So, Trey, during that press conference yesterday, the president took a lot of questions about where this war stands and the success of it so far, how long it will take. Over a weekend, what is the feeling inside Israel right now regarding
This is
all of
interesting.
that?
The feeling in Israel is that this should go on as long as it takes to destroy the threat from the Iranian regime. The Israeli people see the threat firsthand. They have
I can't wait to hear Rand Paul complain on my next video here.
But from the proxies
Let's
like
hear
Hezbollah
from
in
Rand
southern
Paul
Lebanon
today.
and the Houthis in Yemen, not to mention Hamas and Islamic Jihad, who
I
in the
used to
past
like
have
Rand
received
Paul.
support from the Iranian
Not so
regime.
much
And
anymore
so
with his
the Israeli
politics.
people broadly want this to get finished, but they're willing to pay a price if it means more security and stability across their region.
May say our time here is done. That doesn't mean Israel is necessarily going to follow suit, even though we joined in this mission at the exact same time. Trey, thank you. Let's go now to Madeline Rivera live in Washington with more reaction from the Trump administration. Maddie.
Good morning, Todd and Carly. Well, regarding that timeline, I know Carly brought it up. The president says the U.S. is ahead of its initial 4 to 5 week estimated time frame, citing the destruction of Iran's Navy, communications, and Air Force.
on Iran, you called it an excursion. You said it would be over soon. Are you thinking this week it will be over?
No,
Are you talking
but soon.
about days?
I think soon.
Okay, and with respect
Very
to
soon. Look.
Thank you for
everything
that,
they have is
Merciful
gone,
Wolf.
including their leadership.
Welcome in.
In fact, there are 2 levels of leadership,
Rogue,
and
welcome
even
in.
actually, as it turns out, more than that. But 2 levels of leadership are gone. Most people.
All
have
right,
never even
Merciful
heard
Wolf.
about the
Thank you for
leaders
that.
they're
Okay,
talking
twice
about.
as good.
So,
I appreciate you being here. Oh,
it's
I'm going to
obviously
stop a
been
commercial,
very,
I think.
very
No, I can't.
powerful, very
Never
effective.
mind.
But we're hearing some conflicting signals here because the president is also threatening more military action if Iran blocks oil supply, writing on Truth Social, if Iran does anything that stops the flow of oil within the Strait of Hormuz, they will be hit by the United States of America 20 times harder than they have been hit thus far. Iran is effectively preventing vessels from transiting the Strait of Hormuz, which is a global choke point for oil and gas. Per Iranian state media, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps warns it will not allow a single liter of oil to be exported from the region as long as the conflict continues. Oil prices have surged as a result, and now the
Yeah,
Wall
but it's
Street
wartime.
Journal
They
reports
will
the
go
president
back
is
down.
being urged by advisors to find an off-ramp to quell political backlash. It comes in that soundbite that Trey
Rogue,
played.
yeah.
He admits
Yeah,
he is
G.I. Joe. I
disappointed
grew up
about Iran's
watching
new
that
supreme
cartoon.
leader, saying his leadership would lead to more of the same problems in the country. The president says he also spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin. That's an interesting development, given reports that Russia is providing Iran with intelligence of U.S. military targets. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth.
Sergeant Benjamin Pennington of Glendale, Kentucky. Pennington was a
shame.
member of an elite space brigade, was killed during an Iranian attack on the air base he was stationed at in Saudi Arabia. Secretary
Yeah, and I'm
of
going to
State
kick you
Marco
out of here,
Rubio
so goodbye.
yesterday honoring our fallen service members.
The United States is currently engaged in an operation targeting one of the world's leading hostage taker, the world's leading sponsor of terrorism, the regime in Iran. And first, I think we take a moment both to offer our thoughts, our prayers, and our condolences, and to honor the families of those who have fallen, the 7 Americans who have lost of this operation, incredibly brave Americans.
Sergeant Pennington joins Captain Cody Cork, Sergeant First Class Nicole Amore, Sergeant First Class Noah Teachins, Sergeant Declan Cody, Major Jeffrey O'Brien, and Chief Warrant Officer 3 Robert Marzan as the American heroes who have made the ultimate sacrifice.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian
I'm
Kilmeade.
Mike
And
Schreiber.
I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest.
Next up in the bullpen, we got it here, right here, coming at you in 10 seconds. Punch it, Chewie.
So here we
Star
go.
Wars
In just
reference.
A couple hours,
Couldn't
the
help
Pentagon
it.
is set to hold a press conference to update us on the latest from Operation Epic Fury.
It comes after Vice President J.D. Vance attended last night's dignified transfer for a 7th soldier killed in this unprecedented mission. The Pentagon identifying the soldier. He's 26-year-old Army Sergeant Benjamin Pennington of Glendale, Kentucky. Pennington was a member of an elite space brigade and was killed during an Iranian attack on an air base he was stationed in Saudi Arabia.
Pennington joins Captain Cody Cork, Sergeant First Class Nicole Amore, Sergeant First Class Noah Teachins, Sergeant Declan Cody, Major Jeffrey O'Brien, and Chief Warrant Officer 3.
In Tel Aviv, after speaking exclusively to President Trump hours ago, Trey, we hear the sirens.
Yeah, hey, Brian, good morning. Overnight, I spoke with President Trump for about 20 minutes as he traveled back to Washington from Florida, getting some new insight on the commander-in-chief's thinking about Operation Epic Fury, the success so far, and what he thinks about Iran's new supreme leader. I asked him about Mojtaba Khamenei, and he said that he's not happy with this selection. He goes on to say, I don't believe he can live in peace. And as the president spoke about the new leadership selection in Iran, he also gave some new details on the timing of this operation and why it needed to take place when it did. He said, when we attacked them first, we knocked out 50% of their missiles. And if we didn't, it would have been a much harder fight. He goes on to say no other president had the guts to do it. I don't want some president who hasn't got the courage in 5 or 10 years to go in. President Trump making clear that by taking this action, he believes that within 3 days, if he didn't order these strikes against the Iranian regime, that Iran would have attacked first, and if they were able to get a nuclear weapon, they would have used it. Now, I asked the president whether or not he's open to talks with the Iranian regime, and he told me that he's hearing they want to talk badly, and he goes on to say it's possible. Depends on what terms. Possible, only possible. You know, we sort of don't have to speak anymore, you know, if you really think about it, but it's possible. And so the president, as he did leading up to this operation, is leaving open the door to diplomacy, understanding that the Iranian regime is getting hit hard right now when it comes to their military leadership and also their infrastructure. The Americans and the Israelis have gone after the Iranian Navy, they've gone after the army and other positions across the country, and right now they are decimated. They're losing their ability to fire missiles and drones, and at this point, as the president told me, he said he is hearing they are ready to talk. Guys?
So, Trey, now that you know, the president talks about them being decimated, are you seeing less frequency of drones and rockets in Israel?
Absolutely. We are seeing far fewer missiles. It was actually a 10-hour lull in launches overnight as the Iranians are having trouble getting off large barrages. And the president even said there were times over the past week where they fired dozens of missiles at a single time. And he told me there were moments where 100% of those missiles were shot down. And so what the United States has been able to do here, according to President Trump, is basically take out Iran's ability to respond. And while
exactly,
there are still
Jade.
missiles
Yeah,
flying toward
totally,
Gulf countries
totally.
or Israel,
It's
their
ridiculous.
ability to attack these countries and U.S. forces in the
Jezebel
region is
Jill
being depleted.
Biden is
And
what I call
the president
her.
told me that he was
I
actually
still haven't
surprised.
taught on
These sleeper cells abroad after the Ayatollah was killed. There were some encrypted messages that were intercepted by the United States.
Yeah, you're still here, Sharon.
It's absolutely
yeah.
concerning
Yep.
to both
You're
American
on screen.
and
I
Israeli
can see you.
intelligence
It
agencies,
just
and
popped
that's why
up.
they've urged vigilance
Sometimes
among
there's
the
about a
populations around
30-second
the world,
delay,
understanding
so
that
yeah.
the Iranian regime could try to respond on the ground with sleeper cells or agents in different areas. What I gathered, though, from my conversation with the president as relates to what comes next is that he's warning them that they shouldn't take any chances in terms of attacks against
And you're out of
American
here.
citizens or
There's 7
allies
types
around
of
the
fools
world,
in the Bible,
because
buddy,
the US
and
still
you're the
has
one
so
that
much
says
firepower in the
there
region,
is
and they
no
have planned
God.
for a
I'm
variety
pretty
of
sure.
contingencies. So if the Iranians start to launch
7
these
fools in the
types of
Bible,
attacks
and we're going
or
to do
some
Bible, and
attacks
we're going
or
to do that lesson
continue their
again too.
attacks against U.S. forces
I
in the
did that like
region,
my 3rd
they will
month.
continue to be decimated by the U.S. Air Force and the
And
Israeli
Sharon,
planes that are
thank you for
currently
being
over the skies
patient with
of
all
their
the
country.
trolls.
So,
I'm
Trey,
working
what's
on
hurting,
automated defense
this
systems for
country
the channel
and
to get
the
rid of
world
them before
markets is
we
the
even
Strait of
see them.
Hormuz. It's so far there's no tankers.
Because most of them are
really
actually
through there, maybe one or
computer
two.
programs
So
attacking
the
the
president's got
channels.
to reopen it. It looks like France is sending 10 ships there. It looks like they could do some of the escorting. We have ships. We could do some of the escorting. And now they're talking
oil's
about
going to go
possibly
down.
taking
Let's be
Karg
patient, folks.
Island.
I'm
This,
not
oil
quite dirt
island
poor because I
where
have internet,
90%
but
of Iranian
I'm on a
oil
limited
is
income. I don't
pumped
care if
from.
it hits
The
450.
president ironically talked
But then
about
again, I don't
taking
have
this
to go
island
anywhere
as
either.
far back
Not
as
really. So,
1988
I mean,
in
there
an
is
interview
that.
when he was selling his book, The Art of the Deal.
All right, let me correct myself. Okay, so I don't even think I wanted to go high. But what it really hurts is truck drivers. But it will go back down. Let's be patient. To the victors go the spoils. And we got a man in office. He's a man.
The president talked about this. The United States took out all of those vessels, and they're currently at the bottom of the sea. And so whether it's Karg Island or any
Amen,
of the other
Sharon.
infrastructure
I
near
hope
the
you're
Strait of
feeling some
Hormuz,
better.
the Americans have the ability to operate both from the air and possibly even other options when it comes to putting pressure on the Iranian regime. And again, this runs in parallel to an operation that we saw just a few days ago over the weekend when the Israelis struck the oil storage facilities around the capital of Tehran. You saw those images of the black smoke billowing up. The bottom line here is that there's an immense amount of pressure on the Iranian regime as this operation continues. And you've seen the destruction across Iran. You've seen the ability for the Americans and the Israelis to put pressure from the air. But there are these questions about if there are other options being considered on the ground, especially as it relates to Karg Island and other areas of Iran.
It would stop 90% of their oil. They would have nothing literally to fuel their economy. So it seems to be the only way to get their attention. Trey, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian
Mike
Kilmeade.
Shriver.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox
Yeah,
News
didn't,
YouTube page to catch our hot.
Didn't Ainsley Earhart just marry Sean Hannity like a year or two ago? I didn't even know they did. And then all of a sudden I seen a video. All righty, next up. Now, sleeper cells, are they activating? Let's find out. Punch it, Chewie.
The spoils.
Chewie?
That's the focus of
Chewie?
tonight's angle.
That's the wrong one, Chewie. Okay, now here's the right one. Go there, interact.
The war in the Middle East threatening to spill well beyond the region as Iran is reportedly trying to activate sleeper cells abroad.
Steve Harrigan is live at the border between Iran and Armenia as Iranians look to flee the chaos. Hi, Steve.
Morning. The U.S. reporting encrypted messages coming out of Iran in the wake of the death of the supreme leader on February 28th. These encrypted messages, perhaps radio messages, signals ABC News is reporting that an alert has gone out to law enforcement warning about the possibility of sleeper cell attacks in the U.S. President Trump addressed the risk of a sleeper cell attack.
Activated any sleeper cells inside the U.S.
They've been trying for a long time. We've been very much on top of it. We're watching every single one of them. Yeah, we know a lot about them. The biggest problem we have is the Democrat shutdown. We know a lot about them, but the shutdown doesn't allow us to do what we have to do.
Here along the border between Armenia and Iran, just a trickle of Iranians coming out, many describing scenes of total destruction and terror that they left behind.
Of course, we've seen explosions very often, from 3 a.m. till 7 or 8 a.m., then nothing until midday. In the afternoon, the very heavy bombings resumed. There are 50 to 60 bombings daily. It's very scary. It's unimaginable for the people with children.
Hard to imagine being a family and hearing 50 to 60 bombings a day. Tehran is about 450 miles from where I'm standing here in Armenia. Guys, back to you.
Steve, is Armenia receptive to receiving these Iranian people?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question, please?
Is Armenia receptive to receiving these Iranian people?
Definitely. Right now, it's just a trickle, but keep in mind, this could turn into a flood. It's one of the only open working borders. Armenia is one of those rare countries that has good relations with all the people around it, with Iran, with Russia, with the West. So it's an open border, and it could get very busy here down the line.
Steve Harrigan live for us. Steve, thank you. With that, let's bring in national security and military analyst Dr. Rebecca Grant. Dr. Grant, seems like now would be a great time for the Democrats to no longer stop the prevention of funding for DHS. But moving on from that, obviously, we struck Iran before they struck us. When it comes to these sleeper cells, how hard would it be to do the exact same thing? Prevent these sleeper cells in our country, in other allied nations, from striking before they got to us first?
The sleeper cells, or as the intel community calls it, covert lethal activities. And FBI, DOJ, intel community, DHS, they are all over it. And they actually have prevented some attacks in the past. You know, what Iran likes to do, and this is all IRGC, they hire criminals here to carry out assassination plots. And they've been caught and indicted trying to get Secretary Pompeo, former National Security Advisor Bolton, and of course, trying to go after President Trump himself. That's one of their key activities, and we need that whole of government approach. But I'm telling you, we are all over that threat. Impressive that we intercepted that encrypted communication, too.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, this report, though, is very concerning. Encrypted communication that is said to have activated sleeper cells around the world. How concerned should we be about this?
We definitely need to be vigilant. You know, it's a multi-pronged threat. It's towards our diplomats abroad in some cases, of course, as we know, towards U.S. bases and facilities around the world, and then some focus here as well. But we've had elements of Hamas, Hezbollah, et cetera, operating in the U.S. over a long period of time. I think their threat profile is really well known. IRGC always has to transfer in money to fund these operations and pay off criminals. That's another good way that we follow them. But no question, we need to be on a heightened alert and heightened vigilance as Iran lashes out, because they can't stop our military forces and epic fury. This is sort of a last gasp of the IRGC.
Meantime, President Trump indicating he likes the model for leadership used currently in Venezuela for Iran. Watch.
I like the idea of internal because it works well. I mean, I think we've proven that so far in Venezuela. I would like to see people that are inside go. Now, they talk about the son of the Shah. They talk about other people, but, you know, hasn't been there in many, many years. We have a formula that's been very good so far, and I think it'll continue to be good. The relationship is extraordinary with Venezuela.
Okay, Dr. Grant, so that's what the president wants, but would the Venezuelan model even be possible in Iran? Because when you look at Venezuela, we have a leader there, Delcy Rodriguez. Things seem like they're kind of working out okay between the United States and Delcy Rodriguez. I don't think the same can be said for Iran's new leader, Dr.
To me, the key word is inside. President Trump is messaging to the IRGC, which is a business concern. They run a lot of the oil business. They run shadow fleet tankers. By bringing up Venezuela, he says, get with the program, and maybe we can find stability. And you, IRGC, if you change your stripes, then maybe you can keep your oil running, keep your business running. I think it's very deliberate messaging. A good outcome would be similar to Venezuela, where there is stability, maybe also similar to Syria, where someone who was once a terrorist is now an effective leader. It's a tough problem in Iran, but that is very deliberate messaging, holding out that prospect of sanctions relief as well.
Yeah, and that Syrian leader even visiting the White House. Imagine if that ends up happening with Iran in the years to come. We will be watching, of course. Dr. Grant, thank you so much.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
Here now with more South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. Senator, you know, as I listen to that to me is critical.
I wanted to hear from Lindsey Graham just on this video, so be patient.
Civilian use uranium that cannot be turned
Oh yeah, we
into
got Rand
weapons
Paul
grade
too.
uranium, offering it to them for free
maybe
in
we'll skip him.
perpetuity. And they start out by saying that they have the absolute right to pursue nuclear weapons based on their history, their ideology, their chanting death to America. How could we not act?
Thank you, Sean. Number one, I want to make a comment. We're fighting people, the Ayatollah
let me just
and
say
his
something.
son, who did not fall far from his father's tree.
I did a study, guys. Do you guys remember? Those of you that were with me, 2 weeks ago, maybe it was even last week. I talked about there in the United States, continental in the United States, there are over 2,000 mosques using the First Amendment to plan things, and maybe not all of them. But let's not forget, I don't care if you're a regular Islam citizen or not, if you're not involved in fighting right now or planning fights. When jihad is called, something I learned recently, because I used to think, okay, there's Islamic people that just want to live in peace, and I'm sure that's true. But if they don't rise up, the peaceful ones, they could be killed by their own people. And we got to thank God for the Second Amendment of the United States. I'm a firm supporter, although I do not own a gun.
Religious Nazis. Nobody believed Hitler wanted to kill all the Jews and create a master race.
Oh, I just
They
watched
were
Nuremberg
wrong
last
to
night. Holy
miscalculate
cow
Hitler.
buckets. That was awesome.
People have miscalculated
Great movie.
the Ayatollah and this regime for a very long time. Barack Obama and Joe Biden were fools when it comes to Iran. What did Donald Trump do? He spoke them out. They do not want peaceful nuclear power. They want a bomb to purify Islam, to destroy the state of Israel, and come after us. They're religious Nazis, and Donald Trump proved that point. To Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, God bless you. You missed the most important thing said on your show. They admitted to Steve, the Iranians, they had 430 kilograms of highly enriched uranium at 60%. It would take less than a month to go to 90%. enough to make 11 bombs. So on your show, it was disclosed that the Iranians admitted to Steve Witkoff, we have enough highly enriched uranium to make 11 nuclear bombs. We literally
You're right,
dodged
Sharon.
a nuclear
Yeah,
bullet.
awful.
If President Trump had not done this, they could have had a nuclear capability within months, weeks, not months. And if they had a weapon, they would use it. To all those who don't believe that, you're stupid. You're a fool. And I hate to be so harsh. People got
Tell us
Hitler
the truth,
wrong.
not what we want to hear.
Trump is the right man at the right time. To our allies, if you can't join this fight, what fight are you going to join? To Spain. You won't let us use your our air bases in your country to stop a homicidal regime from getting nuclear weapons that terrorize the world. I am encouraging President Donald J. Trump tonight to move all of our bases out of Spain. You know, we have an Article 5 commitment to Spain under NATO, but we shouldn't have air bases in a country that will not let us use those planes to protect the world against a religious Nazi regime. As to Lebanon, there is a military leader in charge of the Lebanese army that I don't trust as far as I can throw him. He is willfully ignoring Hezbollah. He's not disarming Hezbollah. There were rockets fired from areas that were supposed to be cleared by the Lebanese
Facts,
army.
Sharon. Yeah, he's
Let's
a
get
useful
somebody
idiot.
in charge of
Absolutely.
the Lebanese
Yeah.
military that
I
will
mean,
use it.
sometimes
To my friends in Saudi Arabia.
there's a little spark
I've
of
been
light
your
in these
biggest
people,
champion.
and
I think the Crown
then it
Prince
just
has
dies
taken
out.
Saudi Arabia in a completely different direction in a good way. But here's what I want to say to Saudi Arabia tonight. I'm willing to do a mutual defense agreement with your country to give you protection in perpetuity. Under the agreement I've been pushing, and I hope we can continue to talk about, if you're attacked by Iran, we would go to war for you. To Saudi Arabia, our embassy was hid in Riyadh. Do you not have an obligation to join the fight with us? You've yet to do that. So if you do not believe the American embassy being attacked in Riyadh would trigger mutual self-defense, maybe we shouldn't do a treaty with you. To our friends in the United Arab Emirates, you joined the Abraham Accords when nobody else would. You've been a great partner, but you said today publicly at the UN, your country would not be used to join the fight against the Ayatollah's regime. This is so disappointing. We need partners that will step forward in a fight that we can't afford to lose. The Arab countries are as much at threat as we are. And I've been saying this for 20 years.
Not this one.
Finally, we got a commander-in-chief that's clear-eyed. He tried diplomacy. He tried to give them what they say they want, peaceful nuclear power, and they told us to go to hell. And quietly and cheating, they acquired enough highly enriched uranium to build 11 bombs, and the world missed that. If it had not been for Witkoff and Jared, we wouldn't know that. So President Trump, not only did you do the right thing, you did it in the nick of time. And to all the critics of President Trump, do you really believe the Ayatollah wouldn't use a nuclear weapon if he had it? Do you really believe this regime is normal?
Absolutely, the Ayatollah would have. But now he's in the hands of a Jew by the name of Jesus, who happens to be God Almighty. That's got to drive him nuts.
If we'd waited another year, they would have
the
had
irony
11
of it is
nuclear bombs,
wonderful.
and they would use them. I've come to understand that there's some people you just can't deal with.
Jesus.
If somebody wants to burn your house down, you don't negotiate with them, you stop them. So President Trump has embarked on a great quest to destroy a religious Nazi regime that would destroy us. I hope something better comes along. But tonight, we need to honor this young man and the other 6 who fell. The best thing you can do to honor this young man is finish the job he died for. And to all those who died in this endeavor called Epic Fury, you're protecting America, because I believe with all my heart and soul, if the regime in Iran still stands when this is over, we've made a mistake. If they had a nuclear weapon, they would use it. They've been lying about what they're doing with their nuclear program. They want to bomb because they're Nazis. They're crazy. They want to kill all the Jews. And the Jews have been down that road before.
And that's true. When I watched Nuremberg last night and the bulldozers were pushing the bodies because they couldn't do it just by doing one at a time, smell would have killed them.
Forget it. I'm not with you.
I just won't. I won't let the internet forget about the Holocaust and October 7th.
We have a commander-in-chief in President Trump, who I think is Ronald Reagan plus. He's told the Iranians, you mess with the Strait of Hormuz, I'm going to destroy you beyond recognition. So tonight, I hope the American people understand that President Trump is doing what he had to do. You could not ignore this information and be a protector of America. The evidence was beyond clear. They do not want a nuclear power program. They want a bomb, and the only way they won't get a bomb is for somebody to stop them, and that somebody is Bibi and Trump. God bless you both.
Let me delve a little deeper with your frustration with our allies and what you mean by this. I was particularly, like you, shocked over Spain and Great Britain and Macron in France. Now, I've looked at Europe. Europe is in a precipitous decline, and Secretary of State Rubio pointed this out in a speech in Munich. The president has been pointing it out. The president had to drag Europe kicking and screaming to pay their fair share for NATO. But on the issue, they have ignored their own security for their own countries and their own continent. They have also had unfettered immigration without assimilation. How do we ever end up with 87 Sharia courts in Great Britain? How do we end up with no-go zones in France and other parts of Europe? How is it they have embraced socialism, climate alarmism? And
environmentalist wackos, as the great late Rush Limbaugh called them,
choosing,
from the
like
EIB
Western
network.
Europe. This is your moment to pick a side. Either you're going to stand against this evil regime or you're not. Let us know where you stand. I think the president had very, very appropriate comments for, the Prime Minister of Great Britain. He's no Winston Churchill.
Well, I would just say this. When I go back to South Carolina, I try to make the argument if we don't hit them now, they will hit us later. When it comes to radical Islam, you may be tired of fighting them. They're not tired of fighting you. When I ask people in South Carolina.
You're exactly right. If I may interrupt the video, it's just Lindsey Graham anyway. K20, 3 Keith 7, welcome in, says, I was in the Truman when the Enterprise was being decommissioned, docked right next to it. We raided the air depot for supplies. The CV6. I had 2 uncles. Believe it or not, well, no, they'd be great uncles. If it was on my dad's side, it would have been just uncles because he was 20 years old in 1940 and to 1943. He went to Apostolic Bible Institute in St. Paul, Minnesota, under the late great S.G. Norris. And I just fell in love with World War II, and I didn't know my dad that well. I knew him up until I was 11, and then again at 19 when he was out of my life for my teenage years. But on February 18th, 1947, the USS Enterprise was decommissioned. I don't know if you know this, Keith. USS Enterprise, NCC, CVN. Wait, NCC has a start. USS Enterprise, CVN 80 is going to be handed over to the Navy in 2030. I signed the petition. Congress was going to retire the name Enterprise from the registry of modern ships. And we signed a 200,000 petition to make them build and name another Enterprise, CVN 80, in about 4 years, hopefully before. We need her for China because it is not the same fleet, although it's powerful, it's wonderful. But let history not forget the name Enterprise.
How many people believe in this room if the Ayatollah had a nuclear weapon, he would use it? 90% raised their hand. I want to keep the war from coming here. The best way to protect America is to hit them over there before they get here. The best way to protect America is to have allies. To our friends in Saudi Arabia, I am willing to do a treaty to go to war for you, but you got to step up and let America know you're a reliable ally. If you cannot join this fight, Iran has attacked your country viciously. What fight are you going to join? This is a time of choosing. We need to put a coalition together that stands against evil, that insists on a better Mideast. Let's don't go backward, let's go forward. And just
I can't help but agree with them.
To the American people, we live in a world of great danger.
He is a warmonger.
You ignore this danger at your own peril. And in Donald J. Trump, you have a common sense, reasoned man. He doesn't want entanglement. He doesn't want military action unless he has to. And in this case, he had to. 430 grams of highly enriched uranium was possessed by this regime. They could have made 11 bombs within weeks, not years, if we had not acted.
Jim Britt, welcome in, buddy. Good to see you.
Trump,
and we have Arium. Is it Arium?
Religious Nazi
Eric
regime
M. My apologies.
Having nuclear weapons. God bless you. God bless the men and women, Epic Fury. God bless the 7 who failed. Let's finish the job to our allies, step up,
so
get our air bases out of Spain.
Yeah, okay.
They're not reliable. Move all those airplanes to a country that would let us use them when we're threatened by a regime like Iran. To our friends in Spain, man, you've lost your way. I don't want to do business with you anymore. I want our air bases out of Spain into a country that will let us use them.
Absolutely.
To our Arab friends, I've tried to help you construct
and like Trump said, if we want to use Spain's runways, we'll just use them.
We're fighting and you won't publicly fight. What you're doing behind the scenes, that has to stop. The double dealing of the Arab world when it comes to this stuff needs to stop.
They are wolves in sheep's clothing.
I'm asking them to send their sons
and on
and daughters over to the
occasion,
Mideast.
they come out of that, but they go right back into it. You know, they become that wolf in sheep's clothing again.
This is my fight too. I join America. I'm publicly involved in bringing this regime down.
Yeah, Graham, you need to retire, bro.
You're making a great mistake, and you're going to cut off the
you need to be like Nancy Pelosi and just
relationship
go
with the
away.
United States. I say this as a friend.
Senator Lindsey Graham, I agree. The
USS Harry
even
S.
after
Truman,
Operation
CVN 75,
begged the
an
Iranians
honored
to do a
ship
deal.
of war and her crew,
and they wouldn't do it.
Distinction.
He proved,
and I will say
to
this.
the world they are who they are. Religious Nazis. President
Religious
Trump,
Nazis.
tried.
I love it.
You know what? You're doing the right thing. God bless you for trying.
I can't help it. Oh God, I hate saying that. I agree with them.
They either wake up. This is their tipping point moment too. Just like the Middle East, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. This one's over with. Let's just cut that one right here. What did Shakespeare say, chat? He said, "Cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war." That's Lindsey Graham on the constant. Ecclesiastes chapter 3. There is a time for peace and a time for war. And if it's peacetime, don't be pushing war, Lindsey Graham. Ugh. And here's our next video why I go take this hat off and try to do something with this mop on my head. Or is it a dead cat? I'm not sure which one it is, but I love my kitty cats. When I get a full beard, I refer to it as a dead cat on my face, and I shave it off. Anyway, all right, here's the next video, and this is about 30 minutes. Here's some highlights. So in case you missed it, right here on Mike Shriver Ministries. I love her. She's got a great show. Great show.
My angle was titled, "We've Already Won." Indeed, just a few days into Operation Epic Fury, it was obvious that America had already destroyed the core elements of Iran's nuclear and missile capability, along with the regime's leadership that had been pursuing death and destruction for decades. And today, the president, although not formally declaring victory, sure came close.
You've said the war is, quote, very complete, but your defense secretary says this is just the beginning. So which is it, and how long should Americans be prepared
Well, I think
for
you could
this war
say
to
it
last
both.
for?
Welcome in, Jeff DePew, my beloved moderator and friend and future content creator,
They
Jeff
have no
DePew.
anti-aircraft
Yvonne, it's always a pleasure to see you.
It's all been blown up, and they have no leadership.
All right.
It's
I'm
all
going to go do
gone.
something with this mop on my head,
So,
and then we're going to go
you could look
to
at that
Psalms
statement.
144.
We could call it a tremendous success right now as we leave.
Moderators,
here, I could call it,
you have the bridge,
or we
number
could
one.
go further, and we're going to go further.
Exactly right. And contrary to what some fear, this president is keenly attuned to what we need to do to advance our interests, to keep us safe, and, of course, going forward to propel our economy. And that does not include another drawn-out conflict in the Middle East. More than any commander-in-chief since perhaps Eisenhower, President Trump is aware that Americans' tolerance and patience is not unlimited.
You said it would be over soon. Are you thinking this week it will be over?
No,
Are you
but
talking
soon.
about days?
I think soon.
Okay, and with respect
Very
to
soon. Look, everything they have is gone, including their leadership. In fact, there are two levels of leadership, and even actually, as it turns out, more than that. But two levels of leadership are gone. Most people have never even heard about the leaders that they're talking about. So it's obviously been very, very powerful, very effective.
And unlike his recent predecessors, he also believes Americans should be made whole after such a conflict. So after we captured Maduro, the U.S. moved in quickly to secure deals on gold and minerals. And China, by all accounts, all reporting, was already in the process of trying to do this for themselves. But the Trump administration cut them off at the pass.
We signed the first licenses for critical minerals to start flowing and precious metals. On Friday, there was $100 million of gold that came from Venezuela to the United States.
So this video is going to be another 26 and a half minutes. Listen, I'm sorry to have to do this right here and now, but I trust my moderators. If I were to die, I would want one of you to take this channel over. So I trust you. Oh, if that happens, by the way, my children have total instructions to come on here and let all of you know that I went home to be with the Lord. But guess what? I'm only 51, and I might have musculoskeletal problems that are absolutely insane, but my organs are pumping great. So I'm going to go get a shower because I smell so bad I can't stand myself, and I don't want that going through the camera. It might actually harm you. So that's how bad it is. I'll be back in about 15.
States.
You have the bridge, number one.
This makes sense to me because it's a win-win for the U.S. and for the people of Venezuela because they did not have efficient mining capability. We do. Why would any U.S. president let this opportunity slip through our hands? Well, the answer here is Trump will not do that. But the usual suspects berated then private citizen Trump, remember, when he railed against Bush, President Bush, for failing himself to take control of Iraqi oil fields after that invasion.
I have long said that we should have kept the oil in Iraq. I was saying this constantly and consistently to whoever would listen. I said, keep the oil, keep the oil, keep the oil. If they had listened to me then, we would have had the economic benefits of the oil.
Of course, Trump was right. And into the vacuum, China is always happy to step in. And they have. Today, China is the largest foreign investor and operator in Iraqi oil production, both in terms of project share and strategic involvement in developing fields. The percentage comparison, well, China to the United States is stunning. S&P Global estimates that Chinese companies operate 7.27% of Iraq's oil and gas development projects, the largest slice of any country besides Iraq. American companies own less than 2%. So we cannot let this same dynamic develop in Iran after the hostilities wrap, despite China's previous investments there, of course, and continued oil dependence. Now, for this reason, President Trump is not going to take any options off the table. Not on troop deployments, not on Iranian oil production. Why telegraph that to our enemies? When President Trump had the chance to advance our geopolitical interests, he took that chance, and it's always a risk. He's weighing the risks. He's earned the benefit of our doubt here. If there is a way to help manage and rebuild, maybe with a joint venture in place, the Iranian oil fields, without disproportionate risk to our troops and our overall geopolitical position, what's the argument against doing this? Why wouldn't it make sense? Now, obviously, whoever ends up in power would have to be a willing partner. There are a lot of ifs here, no doubt about that. But he's the president of the United States. He is supposed to be looking out for our interests. And if he's not breaking any U.S. law, and he is not, he should do this. But wait. The press and the Democrats, mostly those people, want any such plan revealed right now. Now, this notion today that we can't fight anyone or eliminate any enemy unless we have a plan to fix the entire country afterward is just absurd. I mean, let alone should Trump be required to sit down with the Washington Post and outline his exact plans. Now, the upshot is this. We had the chance to take out an enemy of the United States who threatened and harassed us, threatened to destroy us and our allies in the region for decades. Trump is doing the right thing here. He saw that opportunity and he took it. So the panic pushers are, as usual, wrong here. The market recognizes today a sell-off at the open and then a gradual recovery. And now Donald Trump's going to have to manage this opportunity, ensure that there is no long-term implications, negative implications for the United States. There are going to be momentary setbacks and obviously some tragic human losses. But will the country, our country, be in a stronger geopolitical position, probably economic position? Are we in a better position now than we were 2 weeks ago? I would say absolutely that's the case. Because there's zero reason to believe that Donald Trump is going to get us mired in a never-ending, pointless conflict. If you watched The Angle 7 days ago, you'd know all this. Ditto if you watched Senator Kennedy's interview with Sean Hannity.
we've already won. We will eventually leave Iran after having destroyed their renewed efforts to develop a nuclear weapon, after having destroyed their missile arsenal, after having destroyed their missile launches, after having destroyed their Navy, and the good people of Persia will now have an opportunity to pick their own leadership.
What we have seen over the last week is a clear and strategic and tactical victory for the USA, and a desperate effort by Trump's opponents to make up scenarios that simply are not credible. The truth is, Trump is just better at this stuff than all of them are. When will they learn? And that
Iranian capital has seen better days after being shrouded in a cloud of thick, toxic smoke Saturday when 30 Iranian fuel depots were hit by the Israelis. It looked like the sky was on fire.
It's an absolutely apocalyptic scene here. We've just made it to the Shahran oil depot, which was attacked last night in a massive wave of airstrikes. We heard those going on for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, with massive thuds and then explosions that we could hear. And you can see that thick black smoke through the entire city across all of Tehran. It's been raining this morning in Tehran. There was oil mixed into the rain, so this is definitely a massive incident that is still going on.
We've been at war for a little over a week, and Operation Epic Fury is taking a major toll on the enemy. Iranian missile and drone launches are down around 90%. In the beginning of the war, the regime was firing off well over 100 drones a day at their neighbor. Now, just 18 drones. And we're hitting their drone manufacturing hubs. Plus, their navy's almost non-existent. 51 Iranian ships are at the bottom of the Gulf.
In fact, I got a little upset with our people. I said, "What quality of ship?" "Excellent, sir. Top of the line." I said, "Why did we just capture the ship? We could have used it. Why did we sink them?" They said, "It's more fun to sink them." I said, they like sinking them better. They say it's safer to sink them.
Secretary of War Pete Hegseth says it could get so much worse.
What was the Iranian Navy is largely no more. There'll be more boats to be sunk, for sure. So their ability to project any power in that area in a naval sense is diminishing and will be increasingly diminished. Again, what I want your viewers to understand is this is only just the beginning.
The mullahs are battered and scattered, and there's mass confusion in the ranks. Deputy commanders are fighting without receiving any orders and without any intelligence or radar. Some officers are abandoning their posts. Others are promising to fight to the very end. But Trump says the goal is unconditional surrender, and this is what it'll look like.
It's where they cry uncle, or when they can't fight any longer, there's nobody around to cry uncle.
The mother of all bombers hasn't even joined the fight. The Bone Bomber, a B-52 capable of carrying 70,000 pounds of explosives, just waiting in a British air base ready to take off. The president says there are targets in Iran that, if we hit them, it would be so devastating that it would take them years to rebuild. But we haven't hit them because we're waiting to see if they come to their senses.
But we can be clear with the American people that this is not a fair fight, and that's on purpose. Our capabilities are overwhelming compared to what Iran's are. It means we're fighting to win. It means we set the terms. We'll know when they're not capable of fighting. There'll be a point where they'll have no choice but to do that. Whether they know it or not, they will be combat ineffective. They will surrender.
Now there's a new addition to America's Most Wanted, the Ayatollah's son. They just named Khomeini Jr. the new supreme leader. He's a hardliner just like his dad, and he wants revenge. His whole family's been killed, and he doesn't feel like surrendering.
Do you have to take him out? Does he have a target on his back?
You mean the new supreme leader? You mean the son?
How can there be an Iran with
Well,
another
I don't want to say that, but you know, I was disappointed because we think it's going to lead to just more of the same problem for the country. So I was disappointed to see their choice.
Very diplomatic by the president, but in reality, the Israelis probably won't let little Ayatollah live much longer. Ayatollah Jr. has gone into hiding. They stashed him away deep in an Iranian cave. And before this, his dad, who was now dead, was really cocky.
They said we have the inalienable right to enrich. They bragged about having 60% enriched fuel, enough for 11 bombs. They told me and Jared, we're not going to give you diplomatically what you couldn't take militarily. So, I think they're going to need a change of attitude.
The president also telling Fox that Iran had 1,200 missiles pointed right at their neighbors. This is what he said just moments ago. Listen.
They were going to take over the Middle East. If we did not hit them, they were going to take over the Middle East. They had thousands and thousands since their last hit. They had thousands and thousands of missiles and everything else. Most are now destroyed. And if it starts up again, they'll be hit even harder.
Now that their missile production capabilities are being demolished, the president says, don't expect this to be a forever war.
We took a little excursion because we felt we had to do that to get rid of some evil. And I think you'll see it's going to be a short-term excursion. How good is our military, right? Amazing. How good. Short-term. Short-term.
He was asked, how short?
Mr. President, on Iran, you called it an excursion. You said it would be over soon. Are you thinking this week it will be over?
No,
Are you talking
but soon.
about days?
I think soon.
Okay, and with respect
Very
to...
soon.
The Iranians are running out of cards. Their plan has been to hunker down and wage economic warfare on their neighbors, raising the costs to the alliance. They've been attacking oil infrastructure and hit 3 tankers. That closed down the strait, sent oil prices to $119 a barrel. They're trying to fracture the coalition and hurt the president's people back at the pump at home. But over the weekend, Trump told the oil tankers to show some guts and start sailing. He promised to protect the strait with the U.S. Navy and U.S. insurance backstops. That loosened things up a little.
The plan is to get oil and natural gas and fertilizer and all the products from the Gulf flowing through the straits before too long. And I may break a little news here, but one large tanker has already gone through the straits with no issues at all.
Ships started crossing the strait. They've been shutting off their transponders to go through undetected. Remember, Iran's flying blind, so they can barely see the ships right off their coastline. The market opened down big, but then closed well up for the day. Crude oil dropping down to $85 a barrel. Trump's warning the regime remnants, don't touch the oil.
We're also focused on keeping energy and oil flowing to the world. And I will not allow a terrorist regime to hold the world hostage and attempt to stop the globe's oil supply. And if Iran does anything to
be like a whole new man,
they'll get hit at a much, much harder level.
Iran needs the strait open just as much as we do. Iran gets all their revenue from oil exports.
Yeah, Iran is making their people
they're not getting paid.
Probably go hungry.
The country can't keep the lights on. Once the strait fully reopens and the U.S. Navy controls the traffic and Iran's missiles and drones are fully neutralized, oil is expected to drop down to $50 a barrel.
Amen to that.
Putin's war machine, and he'll be under pressure to sign a treaty with Ukraine. Putin sees the writing on the wall. He had a phone call with Trump today to talk about a truce. If Trump can end the Iran war and the Ukraine war, it's going to send prices on everything way down. And when his pick for Fed chair gets in this spring and cuts rates, and we get
thank God that Fed chair guy's going bye-bye.
This country's really going to feel the boom.
Oh, look at here, Gutfeld's in here. I didn't know that.
Sit down.
I don't know what to think about him, but sometimes he does make me giggle.
Sit down. Except for you in the robe. Stand up. Good evening, everyone. So Iran just picked the former Supreme Leader's son to run the country. Funeral services are scheduled for Wednesday.
Oh!
Daylight savings time kicked in, and you can already tell spring.
Have a good one, Sharon. God bless you. Hey, this hairdo's for you. This spike, remember, about 6 months ago?
And earlier today on Broadway, I saw a hooker carrying a softball mitt. And over in D.C., the seasonal changes are in full flower as Rashida Tlaib's face is starting to shed its winter
She needs to go, too. We put our focus on Elon, but she needs out of here, too. She's awful.
And daylight savings, causing many females to
Okay,
complain
Sharon,
that they
I'm
lost
looking
an
forward to
hour of
hearing
nagging.
it. We're doing a national, or not national, but a channel day of prayer on Saturday, and then a lot of days
Yesterday,
after
during
that,
a
too.
speech, President Trump told Latin leaders,
We're going to make that a
I'm
regular.
not learning your damn language.
Watch your mouth,
Joe
Gutfeld.
Biden told the same thing to landscapers who maintained
But he
his
is fun.
grave.
Oh, Jessica Taylor is. Oh, she's the worst on the internet when it comes
Jesse
to
Jackson
politics.
Jr. said Joe Biden clearly didn't know the real
She's
Jesse
the opposition
Jackson
to
after
everybody
Joe
else.
had
That's what her
spoken at
whole
his
point is.
father's funeral. He was especially annoyed when Biden kept saying he loved the way Mr. Jackson would moonwalk.
No, not Elon. I meant Ilhan. Ilhan, the chick.
One of Jeffrey Epstein's prison guards Googled the sex predator minutes before he was found dead. She then tweeted, "Wow, I just met Hillary Clinton."
Which one? I watch Star Trek all the time, except for the new garbage. Well, I watched one episode, and I'll never watch it again.
Allegedly. Over the weekend, 2 suspected Muslim terrorists threw
I like a
explosive
Star Trek
devices
fan.
at protesters near Gracie Mansion. Mayor Mamdani said they were just having a friendly throw bomb fight. Lighten up! And finally, a brain-invading worm spread by rats has hit California. A brain-invading worm? Well, at least one man is safe. But
Yeah, he had to go.
spread by
Or not go, but I had to
rodents?
remove that message because we
Well,
don't
I
bring
guess
up
this
Epstein in
guy's
here.
ass
Come on, let's get
isn't.
real. 6 million files were released. Go read them.
I don't get it.
Statute of limitations on that?
I don't get that joke at all. All right, so the government just released more documents about the death of
Yeah,
Jeffrey
Joe
Epstein,
Butler, amen.
And they inspire about as much trust
Brother, that'll
as
preach.
a 2001 urine test for Barry Bonds. According to these records, one of the prison guards responsible for watching Epstein actually Googled him minutes before his body was found. And that same guard had made a mysterious $5,000 cash deposit days earlier, one of several unexplained deposits flagged by the bank. Now, maybe it's perfectly normal for the person guarding the most famous inmate in America to be surfing the web for info on him. Maybe she was also Googling the thread count for prison sheets. I hear anything under 400 is rough on your hands. But also simultaneously making random cash deposits that equal about a month's take-home pay, that seems like a red flag, the kind that could easily end up tied around someone's neck. Even harder to believe, an inmate said while medics were trying to revive Epstein, he heard a woman say, "If he's dead, we're going to have to cover it up, and he's going to have an alibi, my officers." Which sounds like something a villain would say to fill in the plot holes on Murder, She Wrote. But here's the real problem. By the time we get these revelations, what are we to believe? And that's not because we all suddenly became conspiracy theorists. No, it's because the original investigation into Epstein's death was handled like a middle school class project, where one kid goes through the motions while the rest eat glue. Let's recap. Epstein dies in 2019 while awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking charges. The official ruling, suicide by hanging. But the circumstances around that are shakier than Mitch McConnell on a Segway. That's according to the court. The guards fell asleep.
So funny.
The required 30-minute cell checks didn't happen. The surveillance cameras mysteriously malfunctioned. And the guards later admitted they falsified records saying they checked on him. All that's missing is, "Sorry, teacher, my dog ate the prisoner." That is not an investigation. That's the plot of Police Academy 10 Special Ed Division.
I got to admit, I watched Police Academy,
That's
all the movies in the
tragedy.
80s,
When
and
authorities botch
back
the
then
early
they cracked me
stages
up.
of a case this badly, everything afterward gets dumped into the same bucket. Real evidence, weak evidence, internet rumors, cover-ups, Bill Clinton's nipple clamps. It all looks the same.
I don't want to hear
because
that.
nothing can be reliable. Think about it. Even the most basic questions about Epstein still exist, like where did all his money actually come from? This guy went from high school math teacher to globe-trotting financier with private jets, an island, a black book that looked like Oprah's Christmas card list.
I can't believe he was a high school
And the
teacher. God knows
explanation
what
we
happened
got,
with that.
Well, you know, he managed money for rich people. Oh, well, that clears everything up. Turns out he's E.F. Hutton.
Thank you for the beeps,
Or
Greg.
E.F.F. Hutton. But that's the thing about half-answered questions. They don't disappear. They fester. They multiply.
Well, like I say, I'll
like
tell you the truth,
Elon
not what you
Musk
want to
at a
hear.
Beauty pageant.
Because I care about you.
Revelations drop. People don't say, "Holy crap." They either shrug or assume the entire government is run by the Illuminati, Bigfoot, and the Loch Ness Monster. Because when institutions leave giant holes in a
The Loch
story,
Ness
the
Monster.
internet fills them. If investigators had done their job properly from the start, secured the evidence, explained the timeline, answered the obvious questions, then we could evaluate new info like adults. Instead, we're stuck in a reality where every new fact gets treated with suspicion. It's like a fan letter addressed to Jesse Waters. We just assume it's fake. You lose public
I love
trust,
how he picks on
which means
Jesse
that years
Waters.
later, the biggest mystery
And what's his
isn't
face?
just what happened in that cell. It's why the people
I can't remember
responsible
his
for
name.
uncovering the truth
He's from Fox
didn't try
2.
that hard. And then again, maybe that was the whole idea to begin with. Let's welcome tonight's guest. He exposed a fake daycare.
Oh,
and was young enough to be in
that's
one.
my
He
boy. I
invented
love him. He's so cool. I need to email him and see if I can play his videos on my channel and do a fraud section of Mike Shriver Ministries. How many want that? How would you like to have?
She pays her babysitter with Kohl's cash. New York Times bestselling author and Fox News contributor, Captain. He's like a shower chair. Old ladies sit on him in the shower. Former NWO World Champion, host of Planet
How many agree with what I just put in the chat? It would be something I'd do like maybe once
Nick,
every
welcome to the
month or
show.
twice every month because
You're
my
kind of
ministry
a
comes first.
Legend in these parts for all the work you've done. But is that sweatshirt?
Awesome.
Can people
I'm
buy
gonna
that
put a poll.
sweatshirt?
Guys, I'm gonna put a poll in the
Just
chat.
pull up and show it.
ShirleyDefense.com.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
What's it say?
I need one of those
Quality-
t-shirts.
Quality Leering Center. 1-800
Yes.
fraud.
There you
Oh,
go.
beautiful,
There you go.
beautiful.
So I think
What a
this
good man.
story is relevant to what you're doing.
I bet it goes into the
no
billions in fraud.
Investigative reporting going on and what happened in that cell. What happened to investigative reporters that forced people like you to actually do the job?
Well, it turns out investigating stuff can be very dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, I discovered that
Yeah.
firsthand, but then you also see how incompetent the government can be when stuff's just right in
Keep
their faces
preaching,
and
young
they don't
man.
wanna
Keep
release
preaching. I
evidence,
want to
they
get
don't
him on
wanna
my channel. Can we
prosecute
make that
people.
happen?
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's deliberately incompetent, or are they just that stupid?
Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah.
It is kind of weird that lady did get that $5,000.
Yes.
It's like maybe, and then also like $5,000 to kill somebody. I mean, how much money did she?
Well, my theory is that it may not
Angela,
be for her to kill anybody,
exactly.
but
And
it
he
could have been
kicked
to
him
let
out of
him to
Mar-a-Lago.
kill himself.
He
To
he
turn
had him
everything
removed
off so they
from
can't stop it,
Mar-a-Lago.
or to allow him to be removed and replaced with a person who looks just like Epstein.
Rick
like his twin
Campabella,
brother, Seth.
Campanella. That's a good question. If he's
A lot of
still
people don't know
alive,
about Seth
I mean, I've seen
Epstein.
videos, but you can
That's
lie
one
about
conspiracy.
anybody.
Malice,
You can fake
are you a
anybody.
conspiracy theorist?
Well, isn't that the joke online that a conspiracy theory just means spoiler alert?
Yeah.
I am definitely a
That's funny.
conspiracy theorist. The Constitution was a conspiracy. The founding fathers had no right to overthrow the government. They did so in secrecy. But
Okay,
people
here's
don't
my
like using
poll
that word
coming up
because
in a
people
minute
like
here.
the founding fathers. I think what's bizarre is that so much information is coming out.
You know, I could tell
and
the
it's
algorithm
intentionally
isn't being so
designed to
favorable to the
muddy
channel
waters.
today because we only got
You have no way
68
of
watching.
determining
We were up
who's
to
looking
600
for what.
watching, so
And
it
I
happens.
just hope
It's
this
okay.
lady doesn't start Googling people like
It's not about my
Fauci
stupid
or
reputation
Donald
anyway.
Trump or Fauci
Brother
or
Ken's
JD
in the
Vance
house.
Or Fauci or Mitch McConnell.
Okay, sounds good, brother. I'm getting ready to teach on Psalms
You never been? It's in
144.
Milan.
Kat, try to control. You guys, knock it off. You're gonna go. You get no dinner.
I'll be good.
Yes. It is weird. Okay, I don't think it's weird that she's Googling him. Like, you Google everything.
Yeah, and I know he was right over there, but let's not act like you've never checked the temperature on your phone.
Yeah.
Instead of just walking outside or opening a window.
Yeah.
But I do think, okay, when I Google things, though, if I'm really interested, I will Google it, and then I will Google it and add the word Reddit after, so I can get, that's where a lot more information is.
Mm-hmm.
But if she wanted even more information than that, she could have gotten up and gone to look at him. And it was her job to do that. I think that's what the
Poll
difference
is running.
But why was she Googling? She was Googling him for some kind
Should
of
I reach out to
information
Nick
that we
Shirley
don't
and
know what
ask
it
him to
is,
come on to
right?
Mike
Yeah,
Shriver
I think
Ministries
all
live?
of the things together are what make it suspicious, right? And I think that everyone's just kind of nihilistic.
We got left on the street.
They don't feel like they feel like anything. She could have Googled like, did it come out yet that he hung himself before he hung
Tyrus
himself?
is the man. I love Tyrus.
That could, and people would be like, yeah, but like you don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, do you? People would still not think that anything would happen because we keep seeing nothing come of anything ever, and we're all just kind of like, yep, we just live like this.
Yep.
Are you just saying? Are you that she was Googling to see if he'd already been killed yet? Like she didn't want to get up and check?
I mean,
she's sitting there going, did it happen?
Maybe she was, maybe she knew it was going to happen. She's like, do they know yet? No, but even if that were that they came out the chute, I think nothing would still come of it at this point.
Tyrus, black chicks, am I right?
Whatever do you mean, Greg?
Well, it's Women's History Month, and it was Black History Month. I wanted to honor both of them. Black chicks are amazing.
You're gonna need a bodyguard. They're bigger than you.
Everything's bigger than me.
Yeah. I think Kat's onto something. I think we should look at the time. Was the Google check during shift? Was the Google check the morning? Was it at the night when she checked out? I think that will open a lot of eyes. Also, you could scroll back her bank statements to see when was the last time she just got a random $5K in her account, or is it something over time? I think security getting paid to look the other way and not getting a lot of information is probably what happened. You throw 10 grand or whatever it is, and then all of a sudden they're curious. Well, who is this guy?
Okay,
and they want to look it up.
I got a very
So it's
important
probably
video to
after
show
it
you
was
as
done
soon
and
as
they
Tyrus
messed
is
it
done
up. So
speaking, because I love
I
Tyrus.
would say that
Toronto
they don't know
Embassy
much, but
shooting, I think is what it said.
You threw some
1 minute
prison terms
ago.
at them or some stuff, you might get at least understand where it's coming from.
Yeah, it's
The
a
paper trail
30-second
of
delay.
Where the money is coming from, and it's pretty lazy that it was being if it was being
Okay, yeah, there's about you can't hear me, and then as soon as I
$5,000
notice,
to
it's about
have
30
someone
seconds
killed.
until
That's
you can hear me
bad.
again.
Well, but that's not. It's not to kill. It's to
look the other way.
To look the other way. And
Toronto
turn it
Embassy
out.
shooting,
You're a
or
willing
US
idiot. You don't know.
Embassy?
All you know is your part.
Yes.
They don't tell you the whole thing. They just tell you your part. So if you do get caught, you can only say, "I took." Well, what'd you take it for? It was just there. So all she knows is that she took a nap.
Even so, I'd say there's a gender pay gap
Breaking
there.
news, Canadian.
Well, you also don't know what was under the table. The $5 grand could have been a deposit. Could have been 50 grand to look the other way.
Once again, black women are getting the short end of the stick on everything from criminal
Breaking news,
interventions to just. This is such a white.
Sorry, guys.
We have such white privilege, even when we're trying to kill people.
Didn't he have white privilege?
Oh yeah, he had.
Didn't work out good for him. Did it?
No, it didn't. All right, up next.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page.
Okay, everybody.
And catch our hottest interviews
Oh, I
and
just
most
got rid of the
compelling
wrong one. But
analysis.
here we go.
You
Coming
will
up in
not
20
get it.
seconds. Even though I already had it up, I made a mistake. Sometimes our humanity shows through. That's why we have Jesus. Punch it, Chewie.
Breaking news, Canadian police reporting that the U.S. consulate in Toronto has been hit by gunfire. That's all the detail we have. Let's
Oh,
watch
that's
live.
close to home, folks.
I would
Okay, I'll
also
shut
like
up now.
to ask that any members of the public
He's
who may
nervous.
have some evidence, some dash cam footage, some video footage, anything that might be suspicious activity that could be connected to this, that they please contact the police to assist us with our investigation. Again, I will repeat, the suspect vehicle was a white Honda CR-V. There were two males, two individuals that emerged and discharged the firearms. This is early in the investigation, and of course, as it unfolds and we're able to provide more information, we will surely do so. And now I'd like to turn the microphone over to Chief Superintendent Chris Leather.
Thank you, Deputy. Good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Leather. I'm the RCMP Chief Superintendent for Criminal Operations here in Ontario. I'm going to make some formal remarks here, and then I look forward to questions that the media may have afterwards. Our community has experienced a deeply concerning incident, and I want to begin by acknowledging the worry and uncertainty many people are feeling today. Our thoughts are with everyone affected, as well as those who may be feeling unsettled by what has occurred. At this stage, I can confirm that the RCMP is working closely with the Toronto Police Service and our international partners who will assist us in a fulsome investigation into the shooting that took place overnight, early this morning, at the American consulate behind us. The RCMP's Integrated National Security Enforcement Team, INSET, GTA, has permanent positions for members of the Toronto Police Service, which further increase our capacity to conduct these investigations in real time with established and strong relationships, intelligence sharing and tactics. At this time, the INSET team has been engaged, as this is a national security incident, and we are working with Toronto Police and others to understand the motivations of those involved. The RCMP regularly works in close collaboration with police services of jurisdictions across the country, as well as our partners with Global Affairs Canada in the fulfillment of our mandate to provide protection of designated persons, including foreign diplomats, and in relation to incidents that occur at or in the vicinity of embassies or consulates. For the moment, while the early stages of the investigation are taking place, we have increased security around embassies and consulate buildings here in Toronto and in the Ottawa region. There will be no tolerance for any form of intimidation, harassment, or harmful targeting of any
He doesn't seem too enthused about this.
We want to assure that everyone's safety and security is at the forefront of
I know he's
everything
nervous,
that we do.
but
The RCMP takes threats to security of individuals living in Canada very seriously and wants to reassure everyone that there is no indication of an immediate threat to public safety at this time. Thank you.
And we'll take questions now if you guys have some questions.
Chief Leather, you talked about working to figure out a motivation. We've already heard officials, including the mayor of Toronto, seemingly link this to the heightened tensions in the Middle East. What's your response to that, and is that a
he's going to deny it?
It's too early for us to determine where the links lay or may
And that's
not
probably
with those
true.
that are responsible for the shooting. That is obviously part of the active investigation, and we're just simply not in a position to comment on that any further.
Oh my God, General Lee said this.
This is a federal investigation. Could you just speak to how that changes sort of the charges, the penalties? Like, how does that elevate, the seriousness of this?
Section 83, which is a portion of the Criminal Code of Canada that deals with terrorism offences, if it's indeed determined to be that, is the mandate under which we operate as the National Police Service pursuant to our integrated national security enforcement teams. But to be clear, these are integrated units that undertake these investigations. So while it may be RCMP-led, it also has the Ontario Provincial Police. Toronto obviously will have a key role in this investigation, and the other large police services in the GTA in particular will be working with us diligently on this investigation, which is now, of course, a high priority matter for us to take on.
Deputy Chief, this does come after you have recovered shell casings from both scenes, right? From some of the synagogue shootings and here. Will you be looking at whether they're
We definitely will be. Sorry. We definitely will be looking at any possible connections. Obviously, it is far too early in this investigation, but we do not look at them in isolation. We look at them collectively, and if and how there is something that is found in that to support that, then that will obviously color and direct how the investigation unfolds. But it is not lost on us that the city has unfortunately experienced similar types of events, extremely serious and very concerning shootings at synagogues, and this very much factors into how we will approach this matter as well. We believe the shooting happened at 4:30, around 4:29 in fact.
And then someone called in at 5:30?
Exactly.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Or actually, an officer was flagged down.
What a verse.
So there was a gap. This is why when we share the time of the event, we would like people to be aware that that would be the time. If you were in this area, if you have dash cam footage, for instance, it would have been around 4:30 or so that we believe the incident to have taken place. Again, I'll state that it's early, so investigators are still piecing things together. But this is an early understanding of when we think the timeline may have been.
And for speaking down police, was that someone who works at the consulate?
I don't have that information to share at the moment.
Did both individuals that got out of the vehicle, they both had firearms and both shot at the building? Is that your understanding?
It's unfortunately because the investigation is still very active and early.
What about your cameras,
I can't
folks?
share that.
Couldn't
I can tell
you
you
just
that there
go
was
into
a
the
handgun
security office
that
and
was
see that
discharged,
almost
and
immediately?
that both individuals were involved in that discharge.
Maybe I'm wrong.
And did bullets actually go through the front door? Can you maybe elaborate a bit on the damage?
I haven't had a look myself or spoken specifically with anyone about the damage, but I can tell you, as most people would know, this is a heavily fortified building, very secure. The glass and the walls are reinforced, and so I don't believe that there was any penetration, if you will, of projectiles into the building. In fact, it's quite possible that people in the building would not have even noticed. That's how strong this building is behind me. So again, we're still piecing some information together,
Maybe
and
if
as
you
we're
were
able to
standing
share
next
more
to the
updates, we will do so.
window.
I can tell you that there were multiple shots fired. I don't have an exact number to share with you at the moment.
Oh,
More
now
than
the
one.
gun people that hate the Second Amendment are going to freak out, although it is in Canada.
There's obviously formal communication going on with our U.S. counterparts, the FBI, the consulate itself here. We've had members at the consulate here this morning, along with Toronto Police, meeting with staff here and their senior executive to discuss the incident. Be rest assured, those conversations are also occurring in Ottawa between officials there and their U.S. counterparts at the embassy.
Premier Ford was just speaking, and he mentioned something about how people need sleeper cells are operating in Canada right now. Is there anything you can share about any intelligence about incidents like this one or others that we're seeing being ordered from outside the country?
Yeah, I don't have any information to provide at this time on any sleeper cells that may or may not exist in Canada. Suffice to say that our CSIS counterparts and the INSETs across the country are actively investigating matters such as this, and we will continue to do so. I think it's important that the public realizes that we've had a number of meetings and discussions already this morning with our federal counterparts, and that does include CSIS both here in Toronto region and at national headquarters, and they are tracking this incident very closely as well.
When you mentioned stepped-up security at consulates, do you just need American consulates in Canada or other countries' consulates and embassies as well?
I think that's a rhetorical question. Why wouldn't you do
that? We'll be
that?
seeing a change in the security posture here in Toronto, as well as Ottawa.
Some reporters' children.
Not that I'm prepared to
children
speak
of
to at
some
this time.
I don't know, whatever.
We'll be assessing that on an ongoing basis. But for now, the U.S. consulate and the Israeli consulate will see a change.
So why did you choose those two consulates specifically?
Well, I think it's fairly obvious based on the incidents that have occurred here in Toronto and elsewhere that these consulates deserve a heightened amount of vigilance and security at this time, in the hopes that we can bring the temperature down in the coming days and weeks.
Has something like this ever happened before with the U.S. consulate?
Not in my memory. I can't recall us either investigating or becoming aware of a shooting here, Deputy.
I cannot recall a shooting. I do recall many, many years ago a firebomb incident. We're going back a ways. I mean, it won't be lost on anyone that the U.S. consulate is the site of many protests and demonstrations, as well as because of geopolitical events. The Israeli consulate has seen a lot of gatherings, people assembling, expressing themselves. So that this would be a scene where something like this would be where the manifestation of frustration with geopolitical events would happen is not lost on us, but that might in part explain why this building is as secure and as fortified as it is.
Do we know how many people were inside the building at the time of the shooting?
I believe there were people inside at the time. I can't confirm that. However, as I was mentioning earlier, the building is so fortified, it's quite possible the people inside would not have noticed that there were shots. Pardon me. That there were shots directed at the front of the building.
And are you able to confirm? I'm not sure how many shots based on the casing.
So I'm afraid I'm not able to share that with you. I can say that it was multiple shots. And there were multiple casings.
Last question, please. So what's entailed in determining if this is terrorism related? You mentioned that was a possibility.
Well, it's definitely a national security incident because we had the U.S. consulate, after all, struck by gunfire. Whether it's a terrorist event or not, that'll be subject to the investigation that will be undertaken in the coming days and weeks. And that'll be based on the evidence that's collected both here at the scene and subsequently through the work with our partners.
Can you just give us an update quickly on traffic? How long is southbound going to be closed for?
I'm afraid I'm not able to tell you exactly. I mean, I could follow up with you if you like. I'd speak to the people here that are protecting the scene, and rest assured that as soon as we're able to open up traffic, we will. We realize that this is obviously an inconvenience for people, but the investigation is of a very high priority, and we are making sure that we are not leaving anything to chance and looking at every little detail.
I'd like to thank everyone for attending today. Just a reminder, if you were in the area early this morning around 4:29, if you're driving and you have...
So an international incident right now is being talked about, and this to me stood out when they were asking that leadership from police in Toronto, do you believe that there are cells in your country, terror cells? He said, there may or may not be existing in Canada at this point.
Oh, the more moderators, the better.
Tightening security, stepping it up at both U.S. and Israeli consulates in Toronto and the U.S. Embassy and Israeli Embassy in Ottawa, which, of course, is the capital city of Canada. So we are fortunate to have today Republican Congressman Rick Crawford of Arkansas. He is the chairman of the House
we got about 5
Intelligence
minutes on this
Committee
video.
and the perfect person for this. So we're watching this.
Should give me just enough time to finish
I want to get your
studying.
top
Psalms
line thoughts on what has
144,
transpired
KJV,
with
folks.
our U.S. consulate in Toronto.
Well, sadly, I think this was predictable, that we know that when we're engaged in these type of operations that the elevated to our homeland and to targets overseas. This one is practically in our homeland. This one's taking place in Canada. And so we shouldn't be surprised. We should be redoubling our efforts on counterintelligence here at home and making sure, the question that you highlighted, was this a terror cell? And he answered, as most people would, we don't know for sure if there's a terror cell or if there's not a terror cell, which is exactly why we have to assume
I have a
terror cells,
and we giant have to American flag that eventually I'm going to drape the whole thing in the back wall.
These cells exist because in counterintelligence,
just for the flag naysayers,
the worst,
but not everybody
the
complains. They're just curious.
Look, I've done
so
no disguising of my disgust with what's happening on Capitol Hill right now.
Yes, Psalms 144, and I'm going to be breaking down some words
and
in that scripture
that didn't
or in that
happen on
passage.
US soil. The one here in New York City with the ISIS-inspired suspects firing.
You may never heard it taught like this before.
Mayor's mansion did, and for the political party across the aisle from you, those Democrats on Capitol Hill, as the chairman of House Intelligence, you know what we're up against in this country.
And right now,
how do you get
we don't
Democrats?
have more,
Senator
less than
Thune
100
said
people
2 hours
watching,
ago,
I
they
think.
were like not coming back to the table at
Which
this point.
means the
How do you get
algorithm
them to
isn't
see us
showing
as
my
American
channel to as
citizens
many
and not see their
people
own politics?
as it was until yesterday.
Well,
it does that
when they
every so
talk,
often.
They're not talking
which
in
lessens
code
the
anymore.
trolls.
They're saying it right out loud in our face. What's most important to them right now, this is the red line for funding DHS appropriations, is that we agree to not have ICE agents at polling locations. What the heck? What is that about?
I mean, put all kinds of ICE agents at polling locations and load it up.
In your face. What they want is to make sure that illegal aliens are treated above the actual sovereignty of the United States citizens as they exercise their right to vote. They want to put illegals in that same camp and say, we're more concerned about their safety at polling places. Why polling places? Because they probably are encouraging illegals to come and vote, and they don't need ICE monitoring that. And they just said it. They said, not just any Democrat, the minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries, said that.
Hakeem?
And when they tell
not
you these
the
things,
dream.
they're not speaking in code
Jeffries,
anymore. They're telling you
like
they put
Hakeem, the dream,
Elijah
Elijah Wan from the 80s.
U.S. citizens.
If you watch
Look,
the NBA,
I know the
you know what I'm
White
talking
House
about.
has put President Trump's vision of this. I mean, there have been. They wanted the head of DHS gone. Kristi Noem is gone. She's out of that. They're looking at a replacement now, and that confirmation situation coming forward, hopefully as soon as possible, so we have a head of that department who's firm in that position. But Chairman, I mean, this is bigger than what they want at a polling station. This is the core responsibility of the federal government, and that's to protect us. And we saw at the State of the Union, Democrats don't even agree about that part.
Right. No, you're right. It's absolutely maddening that they can't discard their partisan politics for 1 minute, long enough to recognize the imperative of funding our Department of Homeland Security. We're not having a fight over the spending levels in the nutrition benefits, for crying out loud. We're saying, please come forward and fund Department of Homeland Security. We've passed it twice in the House. And these people are intransigent because they hate Trump more than they love the country.
Well, is there anything we can do to pay those TSA workers? I mean, that's what Americans want to know as we go into spring break with our children in tow. This isn't just a bunch of businessmen and women running around the country. We have our families with us at this point. Chairman, your last word.
Well, I know that we on the House side, I know the president, they're turning over every stone to see where we can find those revenue streams to make sure those agents across the DHS are being paid. I don't know what that's going to look like. I'm praying that the Democrats cooler heads will prevail and they'll recognize the need to protect the homeland. Really is in their own interest as well as ours, but it's in the interest of every American that we protect America.
Well, if they fly. Yeah, and citizens.
Isn't that blatantly obvious?
Sir, I'm so
we got to
grateful
protect
have you
America.
On this day with the breaking news
Oh,
out of
I'm
Canada
not done with
and
this.
our
Let's
US
stop this
consulate
video.
Getting hit by gunfire. No injuries there, thank the good Lord. Chairman, thank you. Be sure to like and subscribe for all.
Okay, now I did tell you we were going to go into the word next, but I need to eat a couple oranges since I have officially put myself on a diet. It rained the other day and the sun came out. I sat on the rainbow and Skittles popped out. That's how heavy I've gotten. But I had 3 hip replacements, 2 of them within 45 days of each other. It got infected. They pulled everything out. Most of you know that story. And then I had another hip replacement on the other leg a year later, which went just fine. So my movement is so limited still that I almost died. That's part of my testimony. Why do you think I teach and preach so hard? Because Jesus has worked hard for me to keep me going when I should be dead, paralyzed, and whatever else. So I owe him everything. And I'm glad because he's a good God. So I got one more video, and then we're going to wash that down with the word of God, a palate cleanser, if you will, right here. This is Rand Paul. I want to see, I don't mind seeing what the opposition says. It just goes to show us how foolish they are and how much. Let me say this too. The Democrats don't want ICE at polling offices because, see, the Democrats in Congress, all they care about is staying in office. They want a one-party system. Anybody remember back in the day? I'm almost old enough to remember it. The Whig Party became the Republican Party, and then you had the Republicans and the Democrats. Every other party just kind of faded off into history. Yeah. Right. Anyway, let's get to this next video so I can get to the word. I love the Bible. How do you not like the Bible? I don't understand that. Where did you go, Rand Paul? You were here. Let's see here. I'll find you, Rand Paul. So tell me, guys, should I start like maybe once or twice a month? Because, my ministry is my primary channel. That's my primary thing. That's why I'm here. But I'm considering doing reports on fraud, just searching YouTube about people that are busting fraudsters and then compiling them for videos for us to watch and discuss. I think that would be fun because it's important. Listen, it's our country. Yes, heaven's our home. Absolutely. This world is not my home. Word, I'm just a passing through. My treasures are laid up somewhere beyond the blue. But we still live here, right? We're in this world, we're not of it. But we're affected in I'm lagging. Here we go again, folks. Let's see. All right. I think it's fixed. You know what? Let's just forget Rand Paul. I'll let the Holy Ghost lead me. Here we go. Here we go. All right. If you got your Bibles today, if you would please turn with me for just a little while to Psalms chapter 144. And I use the King James Version religiously, you might say. And all right. Here we go. And everyone does have a Bible. Just type it into your phone or into your computer at home. All right. Psalms 144 is a beautiful psalm. And as everybody probably already knows, but if you don't, it's okay. You do now. I want to do one more thing, though, guys. I got to do this. I am able to, believe it or not, mid live stream to go in and change the title because I want people to see. I know, listen, I know if you keep the title the same, I know how all that goes to get a lot of viewers. Oh, we're only 8 away from 2,300 subs. 8 away, guys. Please subscribe. All the cool kids are, and you should too. Everyone that's cool. Kids, adults, old people. By God, hopefully the angels are even listening in. In fact, I know they are because did you know the Bible says the angels look into the things of salvation? Yeah, Mike and the boys. Michael and the boy. Michael the archangel. Gabriel. Whatever ones there are. They look. It blows their mind, Andrea or Angela, child of God. It absolutely rocks their angel world that Jesus would spare a rebellious race that He created, and so they're like, "Oh, well, he backslid, Lord. Why don't you zap him into hell?" Well, Angel, I don't. You don't see what I see. He's going to come back home. And name changer. Let's see. Give me just about content. Yes, I know how to do it. There we go. Come on. Load. I was reading when I was studying this a few minutes ago to go ahead and preach it right now, or teach it mostly. There is a quote from Gettysburg, 1993, the movie our English teacher made us watch over a 2-day period. Terry and your families. I present to you Psalms 144. Teach my hands to war. Save. All righty. Let's do this, Marines, right? Right? Okay. I wish I could have been a Marine. I had every service calling me. I got like I don't know, it's like 85 or an 87 or something like that on the ASVAB. It was pretty high. As soon as they found out I had asthma, every one of them said, "We can't take you." Me. I'm only 5'2" and 3/4, so they wanted me to be an MP because I was talking to some of the recruits and stuff like that. The recruiters. All right, here we go, guys. Psalms 144, starting with verse 1. Blessed be the Lord, my strength, which teacheth my hands to war and my fingers to fight. Heavenly Father, Lord, I ask you to give me the words to speak to the people. Lord, words of encouragement and not detriment. Lord, words to edify or to lift up, as the Bible says, to lift up the congregation or the church, same difference. Lord, I ask you, God, to give me the words to speak to the people, protect our troops, and encourage their families in the name of the one and only true God, Jesus Christ. So we have a scripture here that says, blessed be the Lord, my strength. Is he here strength? When discouragement and detriment begin to invade the human brain, Jesus made a way of escape. The Bible says the Old Testament is a schoolmaster that leads us to Christ. God is my refuge. God is my strength. And he teacheth my hands to war. The United States of America is engaged in combat constantly, always off the Iranian coast in this new war. Our children, grandchildren, and in some cases, great-grandchildren are flying in the skies obliterating the enemy and decimating their fleets. Or shall I say, fleet, if you want to call that a fleet. Blessed be the Lord, my strength. He teaches my hands to war and my fingers to fight. Introduce a new concept. If maybe you haven't come across this in your reading of this, and indeed some of you may have, you might be new to the Lord. I don't know where you're at in God. As long as you're there in God, that's what matters. It's a start. But if you've never read this before, and you look just simply at verse number 1, this verse, let me hit refresh on the chat here really quick. Looking at verse number 1 of Psalms 144, it is not just a singular meaning in this verse. Now, I want to explain this to you. I think as Christians, we know that whatever happens in the spiritual realm, heaven, when it comes to the prince of the power of the air, the devil. So, whatever happens in the spiritual realm has a direct impact in the physical realm. Case in point, Adam and Eve. And yes, it's not Adam and Steve, nor is it Eve and Eva, devil. Adam and Eve were absolute perfection. They were the epitome, the pinnacle of God's magnificence and his creative power and his extreme will. He formed Adam from the dust of the earth and put Adam to sleep because Adam said, the duck-billed platypus has a mate, Dillo, and the porcupine, they all have somebody to hang out with that's the opposite sex. Why don't I? So God said, Adam, you're asleep. And Jesus, the surgeon that he is, goes to work. Pulls a rib out of Adam, makes Eve. They're perfect. Their hands need not learn war because everything about them, I'm going to hit refresh, I'm lagging. Everything about them was absolute perfection. Until one day, Adam and Eve were found with sin. They ate of the fruit. And they became aware. And guys, in the chat, how's the chat? Is it lagging? Don't worry, I can pick up right where I left off, thanks to the Holy Ghost. Is the chat lagging? I don't know if I got to start. To me, it's lagging, but it's not buffering. So I'm not getting the circle thing, but it's lagging. It's like pausing every 2 seconds. You guys got the same problem on your end? Let me look over here on OBS. No, everything's clear and clean on OBS. Okay, not too bad. You please tell me if it starts to get too bad, because if I get under the anointing, I'm not going to pay attention to anything but premeditated thoughts just going to go away, only because of who Jesus is, not me. I'm just a man like you. You can have this power too. Okay, so Adam is put to sleep, and Jesus, the architect that he is, pulls a rib from Adam and forms Eve, and they're perfect in the way which they were made. Their hands did not need to learn the things of war until they got stupid and listened to a serpent. Go ahead, Eve. Take a bite of the fruit. It's okay. You know, he doesn't want you to be like him. That's why he's telling you this. You got to remember the serpent's sly. He's going to be talking eloquently. He's talking to a woman. He's buttering her up. Now, if he would have approached Adam, he would have been all tough. But Eve, the gentleness of a woman, which is wonderful. And men, if you can't treat your woman right, you better, because that's your wife, dude. That's your girlfriend. And so Eve is tempted, and she's thinking, I ain't never heard the serpent talk before. Well, I never heard the aardvark talk to me, or the bunny rabbit. There's never been a roadrunner or a coyote that spoke to me. I haven't even heard from Elmer Fudd, for that matter. It's a joke. Just made it up. So maybe the serpent does know something. Maybe he doesn't want me to know. God doesn't want me to know. That's why he's, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take one bite. That's pretty good, right? Because forbidden fruit is always the best. About 5 minutes passed. That's between the lines. And all of a sudden, Eve tempts Adam, and Adam does the same thing. Because, he trusts Eve. It's his wife. But Adam's the head of his house. Listen, men, I think all of us failed at one time or another. In other words, we made a mistake in the checkbook, or, maybe we shouldn't have went on that trip because we really didn't have enough money, and we failed our families like that because we're the leaders of the home. That's scripture. I didn't write the book. I showed up in 1975. Had nothing to do with it being written. I didn't even ask to be here. But thank God I am, because I got the 5 best kids on earth. Jedi reflexes. And so the fruit opens their eyes to things they never seen. And they're naked and afraid, and they cover themselves to hide from the presence of God. And so God gives them the curses. Adam, the ground's yours, bro. You're going to till it at the sweat of your brow. Eve, your pain is going to be increased in giving childbirth. Concepts they knew nothing about yet. And they had Cain and Abel, and the first murder in human history happens. His blood of Abel cries out from the ground, and ever since, war has become a thing to the human race. And for 4,000 years, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob have been at war with Ishmael, the stepson, the 2 half-brothers at war with each other. And we pray for the peace of Jerusalem. At the same time, that very phrase, pray for the peace of Jerusalem, means pray for the rapture or the second coming of Jesus Christ. Because until Christ returns, there shall never be lasting peace on earth. And even then, it will last 1,000 years and stop. Satan's loosed, tempts Gog and Magog, Russia, Moscow, and they lead another invasion force. Let me tell you something about this war. Let me tell you something about the war in Ukraine. Bible scholars, you and I both know, if we're being honest, Russia isn't done yet. She'll lead a coalition of force at the Battle of Armageddon. We talked about it the other day. But right now we're in Psalms, so let's not get too off course. So, Psalms 144, blessed be the Lord, my strength, which teacheth my hands to war and my fingers to fight. This scripture is dual meaning. Remember when I said whatever happens in the spiritual has a direct impact in the physical realm. Whatever happens in the physical realm affects the spiritual realm. You cannot separate the two from affecting one another. We are linked. Why? Because God breathed the breath of life into Adam. He became a living soul. When you die, your soul goes back to God who gave it, and your body hits the dirt. We are connected to the, are you hearing what I'm saying? We're connected to the spiritual. We have no choice because the breath you breathe is God himself. But you as a human have a rebellious spirit, and forever we battle the flesh. And yet the breath of life was directly from the throne. Teach my hands to war doesn't just mean pow, pow. Not Rocky Balboa versus Ivan Drago. It means spiritual warfare as well. We lift. What does it not say, folks? And the blessings come down from the throne because the breath of God is the very breath you breathe. Devil, you are a liar in Jesus' name. It should unfreeze any second. Is it better? Let me know in the chat. It'll take about 30 seconds. But the very breath, Angela. I see the freeze right now. Oh, devil's a liar. It just unfroze. Devil's a liar. Just let me know if it keeps getting worse. I won't quit. I'll do this all day until it gets smooth. I will not quit. Okay. Oh, man, I can see it laggy for me, but it's okay. I'm going to hit refresh again. It's not buffering. It's just like pausing me for like 2 seconds at a time. There we go. That's smooth. And so the very breath, church, that is in our lungs is absolutely from the throne. But remember what it says. The flesh is constantly at war with the spirit. My flesh, I'll just tell you the truth, not what you want to hear. I speak plainly. I don't care. I've been single 5 years. I haven't dated. Now, in other words, I haven't dated anybody. Okay, so yeah, I don't know what's going on today. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect my modem and my router again, and that's going to take about 7 or 8 minutes to reboot. Go to the bathroom, get an ice cold Coca-Cola, red, white, and you. And I'll be right back. All right. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so you can hit that all notification bell. That way you know when I pop back on in roughly 20 minutes, give or take a minute or two, depending on the internet service. Charter Spectrum, I'm not very happy with lately. They put a new company line through my neighborhood. I might switch to them just to see how it goes. 7, scratch out your hand above, rescue me, and deliver me out of the great waters from the hand of the foreigners whose mouth speaks lying words. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so when I come back, okay, we're leaving off right now, part 2 in 20 minutes or so. I'm going to continue with verse 1 for just a few more minutes about spiritual warfare, the opposite of what we're going through now. We need to do both, yes, but the spiritual, everything's